Hello and welcome to Lowell Park. I'm Will Kraus alongside Ben Gainsborough here. Today the Cotuit Kettleers welcome the Wareham Gatemen to Lowell Park for a 5 p.m. start. Yesterday, Cotuit took on the Harwich Mariners, losing 9-1. Here's Ben with a little bit of that recap.
So yeah, last night the Cotuit Kettleers faced off with the Harwich Mariners, as you were saying, and it really wasn't a fruitful game offensively for them. They lost 9-1. And it's the Kettleers' second straight loss, and in the last 4 games they're 0-3-1 with losses to Hyannis and a tie to Bourne in there. So it's not like they've been facing the Warehams, the Chathams, the YDs of the Cape League. They've had these winnable matchups, but the bats have just gone cold all throughout the lineup. Lots of strikeouts, lots of soft contact. Pitching-wise, though, for the Kettleers, the starters have been pretty good in that span. We saw Trey Holland go neck-to-neck with Mason Black on a couple nights ago, and he lost that game, but he allowed 0 runs against a good Brewster lineup. Last night, it was a tougher day for Kyle Nicholas, was not able to really find the strike zone, walked a few guys, a few pass balls. Evan Justice took over, and it was kind of the same story. The unspoken hero of last night was Chris Farrell, coming in with the lead not really in his favor. He had to inherit a tough situation, and we saw him allow that run in the first inning, and then he really settled in. Threw a lot of strikes, a lot of soft contact, and was just really solid. More like the Chris Farrell we saw making that opening day start against YD than the more recent Chris Farrell who struggled with strikes and balls, throwing a lot of balls in there. But really, it's all about the offense for the Kettleers. It's all about waking up those bats, and we saw how good they can be. They've scored over 10 runs on 3 separate occasions versus Hyannis. They can hit home runs. They're still first in home runs in the league, and they still have one of the best run differentials at plus 33, although that has sunk from plus 44, which it was at its peak. So really, for the Kettleers moving forward, they got to wake the bats up. And talking about yesterday's game was Will, and he caught up with Coach Roberts.
All right, coaches, what are some of your overall thoughts and observations from this one?
Well, I mean, Harwich just outplayed us. They just did a great job. But when you looked at the scoreboard, was it all their bats? No, it was walks, wild pitches. 3 of the first 6 runs scored on wild pitches. They wore Cody out behind the plate. And as I told them afterwards, right now there's not a lot of confidence out there. And Dean Smith's the greatest coach that I've ever been around, and I watched him for 36 years, both as an undergraduate, a graduate student, working alongside of him. And, I would watch him, I told him toward the end of a game, they beat Carolina, be down by 6, 38 seconds to go, and he'd just let the guys come to the bench and smile and say, look, we got them right where we want them. And so I just told the guys, I think we got the league right where we want them. They think we're in a lull, and let's just see if we can pull ourselves out of it.
What did you see out of Chris Farrell today coming in from the pen?
Well, I didn't see much out of anybody that I want to stand here and brag about. I appreciate their effort, and I certainly appreciate Chris's effort. But I didn't see polish because his first inning was not a lot better than Nicholas is out there. And then Beck has a good first inning, then has a poor second inning. So, to me, you just have to, you just have to say thank you for their effort. And we just got to, I'm a teacher, and we just go continue to teach. And, the toughest part of our schedule is yet to come, without a doubt. I mean, these games coming up are with really good teams. And so we just got to get our mojo, and we got to get our confidence back. And, if I stay confident and I let them relax, then we'll be okay.
Are there any particular adjustments you'd like to see from the bats going forward?
Yeah, I want them to swing every pitch every time they go up there, like I told them earlier the year. I don't want them to think about fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. I want them to swing every pitch that the ball comes out of the pitcher's hands. I want our pitchers to throw their secondary pitch in every count, and we're not doing that. You're only as good as your secondary pitches. That's it, and you got to be able to throw them 3-2. You got to be able to throw them anytime, and you can't rely on your fastball. You're going to get eaten alive, and we got to go back to seeing if our pitchers really have good secondary pitches, and that's just like the home run Cavales hit on a 3-2 pitch. You got to be willing to throw a changeup. You got to be willing to throw a breaking ball there, and that's the confidence that we got to go back and find.
Great. Speaking of the Warehams, the Chathams, and the YDs, along with Falmouth, Cotuit's got a really, really tough stretch coming up. The last 7 games, probably the toughest stretch of the season. Those 4 teams will be the only teams they will face in those 7 games, and those teams combined, the 1 and 2 seeds in both divisions, a combined 26 games over 500. So a real tough stretch for Cotuit coming up, but also a chance to really prove themselves as they head into the postseason. They start tonight with Wareham. Lucas Weinbergs will get his first start for the Gatemen tonight. He's got a 3 ERA in just 1 appearance, and Cotuit's got their ace on the mound, Reed Johnson out of North Carolina State. Reed Johnson's got just a 1.80 ERA on the season. It's just who the Kettleers need to get right back on track. I mentioned last night in the 9-1 defeat, they didn't do much of anything very well. These last 3 games, they've scored a combined total of 3 runs, the Kettleers have. And in that time, they've gone 1 for 18 with runners in scoring position and left 22 men on base. It's not been pretty for the Cotuit offense. They'll have a chance to turn things around here today against Wareham as they welcome Wareham for the 3rd and final home game here at Lowell Park against the Wareham Gatemen. It'll be their 5th contest, their 2nd to last game against Wareham on the season. The teams have split to this point, 2-2 each. The games that Wareham has won, their pitching has really been on. They've shut out Cotuit twice, 6-0 and 1-0. Whereas when Cotuit is successful, they really get the bats going, winning 11-5 and 11-3 in their victories over Wareham. So we'll look to see if that trend continues here today. Cotuit's got a real tough stretch, and we'll see if they can get it done today. And we'll throw it over to our broadcasters, Sam Niederman and Aram Layton, for their thoughts on this one.
Happy Red Shirt Friday here at Lowell Park. Thanks for joining us on your weekend. It's a matchup between the Wareham Gatemen and the Cotuit Kettleers. Seeding implications, both teams have clinched, but a lot to be decided still in this season. The last matchup between the 2 teams here at Lowell Park. Aram Layton alongside my partner Sam Niederman. Sam, the Kettleers have hit a little bit of a lull here. Most recently, a 9-1 loss at home yesterday against Harwich. The offense has been struggling. At one point, they went 23 consecutive innings without scoring a run until they finally plated one in the 8th. That was all they had to show yesterday. It's been tough, Sam.
Yeah, if you can't hit, you don't have much of a chance in this league. But contrary to how the Kettleers have performed, it has been tough sledding at the plate so far for Cotuit. Last 10 games, the Kettleers have only won 3 of them. They've lost 5, and they have tied twice. Just a sour little stretch for Cotuit and a tough portion in the season. You don't want to be playing like this down the stretch, and it's up to Mike Roberts and his club to try and turn the ship around with 7 more games to go.
Well, tasked with trying to turn things around on the pitching side of things for the Kettleers, it's Reed Johnston. Johnston pitched in the All-Star game. He threw a scoreless inning back at Eldridge Park, now making his first appearance since then. His last regular season appearance was not a great one, probably his worst of the season, Sam. He just went 3 innings against Hyannis, gave up 8 hits, 3 earned runs, and struck out 5. Before then, he looked really good. What does he have to do to get back to that point?
You know, he's got to start getting back to his sharpness on his breaking stuff. Can he get his put-away stuff back to form? He's got an excellent command of his fastball. He's going to throw a lot of strikes, but we've talked about it a little bit. Is it too many strikes? Do you have that finishing touch on your pitches to put guys away, opposed to getting a hit instead of a ground out, something like that? So it's up to him to find a way to deceive hitters a little bit, maybe pitch away from the zone with his breaking pitches. And he is a very talented pitcher, an all-star in every sense, and he's been one of the most consistent arms for the Kettleers. He will give them a chance to win today, and will give this defense a chance to back him up in the process.
Kettleers surrendered 9 free passes as a ball club yesterday. Reed Johnson, one thing he will do, like you said, Sam, is throw strikes. He's only walked 4 batters in 20 innings this season. That's something the Kettleers need right now. They actually surrendered 3 of the 9 runs to Harwich on wild pitches, Sam, and it was really just a struggle for the pitching staff yesterday.
It was a struggle. It was kind of your third-tier staff that came out for the Kettleers. And it just wasn't a sharp day for Coach Roberts and his club. And Coach is really trying to manage this pitching staff, trying to conserve energy and innings heading into the postseason. It's a tough, delicate balance when you're at least still in contention to maybe get a 2 seed in the West and host a first-round playoff series. But the fact of the matter is you want to make sure that you're at full strength so you can compete no matter what seed you are or no matter where you're playing. And so it's tough to do in this final week of the season. But it's a big game for the Kettleers. Wareham is no slouch, and they'll give them their best. And Cotuit's got to come out and bring their best up both on the mound and at the plate.
On the other side, it's Lucas Weinberg, who's a new arm that the Kettleers have not seen yet. He's only made one appearance. He pitched against Bourne through 6 innings, three runs, only 2 of them earned, gave up 6 hits, walked 1 and struck out 1. We don't know much about him. And it's another new arm that the Kettleers haven't seen. It's been a string of that recently where they've seen new guys and they have not been adjusting well.
He's been really good. He's from Mizzou, just like the All-Star Game starter Ian Bedell, who's from Wareham too. Maybe not a good sign for the Kettleers because Bedell got the best of Cotuit the last time that they played him. You know Jerry Weinstein's always going to bring in good arms, and they've got another one here in Weinberg.
So we're going to send it real quick to the pregame interview with Coach Roberts, and then we'll be ready for first pitch when we come back.
Coach Roberts joins us at Lowell Park. The Kettleers play the Wareham Gatemen today. Coach, another tough loss yesterday coming against the Harwich Mariners, and it was more good pitching. How can your hitters continue to try and find ways to adjust at the plate?
Well, they don't need to adjust, very honestly, Sam. They just need to have more passion to play right now. They've kind of run out of passion, and when you run out of passion, you run out of energy. When you run out of energy, you run out of bat speed, and then you just get beat. And I wish I could snap my fingers and say, I know we're going to hit the baseball, but when you take a club who leads the league in home runs and all of a sudden you can't get the ball out of the infield, to me it's not about mechanics. It's about the fact that you still want to play, and we'll see how bad we want to play. We've talked a little bit about it, and it's up to them. It's self-motivation, like I tell our campers every week. It's not coach motivation and girlfriend motivation, all that stuff. It's self-motivation. You pick yourself up and, you find out how bad you want to play.
A guy who's looked pretty inspired at the plate, Joey Loperfido, the last few games has been really coming around. You talked about it earlier in the season that you wanted to see him cut down on strikeouts. What else has contributed to, you think, his turnaround at the plate so far?
Well, I think Joey's really concentrated on his work every day, and some guys do and some guys don't in regards to detail. And I think Joey's done a really good job when you watch him in the cage every day trying to detail his stride. And his stride was the problem this spring when he showed up here. He just had this really long stride, and he spent some time with Brian in June when Brian was here, and they talked about it a little bit, and he's made some real progress. And but we need 14 guys to make progress, and you can't rely off Gonzalez for a while and Loperfido for a while or somebody else. We've only lost one hitter really that made kind of a major contribution, and that was Aubrey Majors. Everybody else is still here, so really it's a team game right now.
Speaking of a switch hitter like Major, Rajanu gets a call in the leadoff spot today. What have you seen from him in his progression?
Well, he's very aggressive, and he likes to swing the bat, and which is what I feel like we need to do. And I feel like we've waited on Nick Gonzalez to get his hits and go behind him. And I think we need to go behind somebody else for a while and let Nick drive in some runs. And so I'm kind of fiddling with the lineup a little bit right now. Not a phenomenal amount, but again, I think Raj has hit the ball very hard lately since he's been back from hamstring problems, and we're just going to put him up there and play around a little bit. And in the couple of years that we've won the championship back in 10 and 13, both years my leadoff hitter were about 6'3", 220, about his size. So we're going to kind of match up size here and see if it works again.
Who are those leadoff hitters?
Oh, God. Let's see. Brad Zimmer in 13, and Brad went on to play in the big leagues. And young man from UC Irvine, I'll have to go back and think of his name in a minute, from big first baseman DH out of Irvine, who actually transferred his senior year away from Irvine, and he was my leadoff hitter in 10 and did a phenomenal job. One right-handed hitter, one left-handed hitter. And, a lot of times what I try to look at in the leadoff spot now is there are no true leadoff hitters anymore. There's none in this league. There's none in any league. And the Cubs have been looking for one since we lost Fowler in 16. It's hard to find. But so what I then try to do is who hits the ball the hardest the most often. Now, Nick definitely does that on our club, but again, I think we've relied on him too much, and I want to take some of that pressure off him. And the second person in our lineup who hits the ball hard the most often is a Raj.
Sounds like a plan, Coach. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, guys.
You heard Coach Roberts. He's fiddled around with this lineup. It's an offense that has really struggled the last 3 ball games. They've left 22 on base, Sam, and they're 1 for 18 with runners in scoring position. They're going to get a chance to hit, but not before Wareham gets their first crack at Reed Johnston. And they have a lineup that'll go like this. Braden Ward in the leadoff spot playing center field. Matt McClain, the shortstop, bats second. Jacob Teeter in the 3-hole plays first. Adrian Del Castillo, the DH, bats in the cleanup spot. Dallas Beaver, the catcher, bats fifth. Benjamin Sems, the second baseman, bats sixth. Matt Rudick, the right fielder, bats 7th. Chad Stevens at the hot corner bats 8th. And Mike Antico rounds things out and plays left field. Their opposite, Reed Johnston, the all-star for the Kettleers, who has been a rock all season long. Him and Sean Sullivan have been the guys that can be counted on to pour in strikes. Unfortunately for Johnston, his last regular season outing on July 17th was a tough one. At home against Hyannis, the Kettleers were actually able to still pull out the victory, but he had his worst outing of the summer. 3 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, 8 hits, but he did strike out 5 and walk nobody, so you could chalk that one up to a little bit of a fluke, Sam. And Hyannis is not a great team, but they can swing it.
Yeah, Hyannis was good that night. They were able to barrel up the ball. They kind of did all season series long against the Kettleers, but Johnston's put that long in the rearview mirror. He threw a scoreless inning in the All-Star game. It's a guy that's going to work quickly. He'll pour in strikes into the zone, and that's exactly what Cotuit needs after walking 7 as a pitching staff yesterday. He's the perfect antidote to get this team back on track on the rubber.
And up until that ball game, Johnson actually had not given up a run in 14 consecutive innings. So trying to return back to that form, the right-handed pitcher from NC State has done a great job so far this season of pouring in strikes. Just 4 walks in 20 innings pitched. He struck out 13, and he's looking to get back into that form here against a Wareham lineup that leads the entire Cape League in batting average, 284, but they have tailed off a little bit, just hitting 232 in their last 5 games.
Yeah, they've tailed off a little bit, but this is still the most well-rounded lineup in the Cape League. It's where Wareham makes their bread and butter. They've got a ton of contact hitters, and it begins with the guy that we'll see at the plate here first, in Braden Ward.
Braden Ward's been the prototypical leadoff hitter. You heard Coach Roberts in the pregame interview saying there's probably not your typical leadoff hitter here in the Cape League. If there's anyone that's as close as Coach Roberts' description to a leadoff hitter, it's Braden Ward, who's done a good job of putting the ball in play all season long and also leads the Cape League with 22 swipes. A first pitch fastball misses high, and it's 1-0. First pitch comes in today at 5 o'clock even. Another one misses away. 2-0 here to Ward, who bats from the left side. Ward, an all-star himself. 3 players at the top of this Wareham order had the honor of playing at Eldridge Park as Johnson falls behind 3-0 on the leadoff hitter. Infield plays Ward straight up. He's taking all the way. That one's a fastball, 87 miles per hour. It gets the outside corner, 3-1. Ward hitting .299 coming into this game. 6 doubles. He has 3 home runs as well. Ball 4, an uncharacteristic leadoff walk here from Reed Johnston. And now the speedy Braden Ward on base to start this ball game off.
Well, not only do the Kettleers have a little bit of a cold hitting bug at the plate, but the pitching staff has suffered a little bit on the mound with control too. 7 walks as a staff yesterday, and Harwich scored 9 runs, and a lot of those walks came around to touch home plate in the process. Just not going to win many ball games like that. You never want to set off with a leadoff walk.
So now it's Matt McLean. He plays shortstop today. Pickoff over to first, and Ward is back. McLean has mostly played the hot corner every time the Kettleers have seen Wareham this season. Benjamin Sems mostly manned shortstop in those matchups. He slides over to second base today, and McLean now at shortstop with Darren Baker, the second baseman before going home. Baker leaves a Wareham team with a .342 batting average. He was an all-star, left just after the all-star game, and that's a big blow to this Wareham lineup. But like you said earlier, Sam, this is a lineup that's as well-rounded as anyone. And if any team could sustain a blow like that, it's this ball club. Another pickoff over to first base. He's back easily. Ward has those 22 stolen bases, which leads the entire Cape League. Reed Johnston knows that himself, trying to keep him close. But Ward quickly has a big lead once again. A pickoff over one more time. He dives back. McLean now playing shortstop today. He's had a nice season himself. Just a sophomore out of UCLA. High fastball, ball 1. McLean hitting .300, 27 for 90 this season. 6 doubles, a pair of home runs, and 19 driven in. Another pickoff over, make that 4. But Ward dives back again. So Reed Johnson now out of the stretch. Johnston looking to pour in his first strike here to Ward. He's able to with a curveball there. It's 1-1. The Kettleers stand in third place now in the West Division. A win today would put them atop of Wareham by 1 point. Both teams trail Falmouth, who are ahead 5 of the Kettleers and 4 points respectively of the Gatemen. A bluff there from Ward, a swing and a miss to make it 2 strikes here on the batter in McLean. Ward took a few hard steps towards second as if he was going to swipe it. Decided to hold up there. We'll see what he does now at 1-2. Jacob Teeter waits on deck. Another bluff. A one-hopper to Oviedo. He goes to short or second for 1. And that's the only out they'll get. A nice scoop there by Nick Gonzalez to get the lead runner and Braden Ward and get the speedster off the bases, but McLean replaces him at first.
A little bit of a sluggish start for the Kettleers on the mound and in the field. Oviedo, a low throw there to second base, but as you mentioned, Durham, a nice job by Gonzalez to at least preserve the first out for the lead runner.
So now it's Jacob Teeter. Said a couple times already how good the top of this Gatemen order is. Teeter, another all-star, hitting .303 this season. He's 40 for 132. Pick off over to first. He dives back. 2 home runs, 23 driven in, and 12 walks to just 19 strikeouts. The 6'6" left-handed hitter has been a consistent bat in the middle of the order all year for Wareham. A nice changeup and a swing and a miss by the lefty. Teeter from Division II Florida Southern. Another small school guy who's just really stood out all summer long. A couple nice feature stories, one in the Boston Globe on him. That misses away, 1-1. Just about how Teeter has been able to make something out of very little. Very rarely do you see a player from the South, a small South school, come out here and take the Cape League by storm, and it's been a nice story with Jacob Teeter. The 1-1. Ground ball right back up the box and a base hit. Teeter continues to stay hot and picks up his 41st hit of the season.
Well, he's right up there with Nick Gonzalez for the league lead. Only one shy of him now with that base hit, and he lasered it right off the mound into center field. He kind of resembles what Austin Shenton was last season for Wareham, a team that won the entire Cape League championship. And Shenton came from FIU, another small little southern school, came onto the Cape by storm, almost won the batting title, and basically was the #1 piece in that championship run. They could be looking at another in Jacob Teeter.
And Shenton wasn't on any draft radars with that performance as there's a pickoff over to second base. Ward dives back. He played himself into an early day 2 draft pick and a nice little payday. And Shenton was another one of those, like you said, Sam, a really nice story to follow here in the Cape League. Now it's Adrian Del Castillo. He grounds one out to Oviedo, who ranges over, throws to second base for 1, no turn. So they get the lead out again, but now there's runners on the corners, 2 away. So fielder's choice sends McLean to third. Teeter out at second. Del Castillo will replace him at first. And you got runners on the corners, 2 away, and it's the catcher, Dallas Beaver. Beaver, another left-handed hitter. Pickoff over to first base. Del Castillo dives back. Del Castillo from the University of Miami. It's a couple hours south if you're driving from Florida Southern. First pitch swing, and it's popped into left field. Should be playable. It's shallow. Coming in and making the grab is Robbie Martin for out number 3. So Reed Johnson dances out of the way of a walk and a single. Strands 2 aboard. And we're scoreless going into the home half of the first. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. First here for the Kettleers, trying to get on the board. An offense that has really struggled so far the last couple ball games. They're going to face a new pitcher to the Cape League, just making his second start of the summer. It's Lucas Weinbergs. His first start was at Bourne on July 20th, just 6 days ago. He picked up the win, going 6 innings strong, 2 earned runs, 6 hits, walked 1 and struck out 1. He's from the University of Missouri, and he'll face the Kettleers for the first time, a lineup that's been shaken up by Coach Roberts, as he mentioned in the pregame interview. It sounds like this: Arajanu in the leadoff spot, the DH for the first time this year. Nick Gonzalez bats second, plays second. Joey Loperfido, the hot hitter, bats third and plays right field. Casey Schmidt, the third baseman, bats cleanup. Mason McCorder back in the lineup, plays first and bats fifth. Robbie Martin, also a new face into the lineup today, bats sixth and plays left field. Colton Kessler, the Kentucky catcher, bats seventh. Adam Oviedo, the shortstop, bats eighth. And Dante Williams plugged into the lineup today as well, plays center field. A few new faces we haven't seen in a couple ball games in the lineup today, Sam.
Yeah, interesting how Coach is shaking things up. His signature is to shake up the lineup after a few days, no matter what's going on with his team's form. But there's a method to the madness today. Arajanu, a hard-hitting power switch hitter at the top of the lineup at the leadoff spot. He's there to take a little bit of the pressure off Nick Gonzalez, who slides down to the 2 spot. Coach trying to protect the best batter in his lineup and hopefully get him out of a little bit of a mini slump.
So Anu steps into the plate now. As Anu steps into the box, we get ready for the first pitch of the home half of the first. Anu rocking the Red Shirt Friday jerseys for the Kettleers and the camo socks in honor of those who served us and have served us. A blooper into left field, a base hit. Anu starts the ball game off with a single, doing his job as the leadoff hitter. Welcome to the leadoff spot. Arajanu swings at the first pitch he sees.
Well, Coach Roberts told us before the game he wanted somebody aggressive at that top spot, and Arajanu has been aggressive over his last couple of games at the plate. And that time he takes the first pitch into left field despite a broken bat effort. He was able to just muscle it into shallow left for the first hit of the ball game for Cotuit.
Just like that, he's 6 for his last 14. And now it's Nick Gonzalez who's looking to get things going again. He swings at the first pitch, chops it foul down the third base line. Anu, who was running on contact there, looks like he's starting to motor a little bit better, Sam. We saw him a little hobbled with that hamstring tweak. The first couple ball games back, he looked like he wasn't trusting it, but he was motoring there, and we've talked about it a few times. His speed is one of the most underrated qualities of any player on this Kettleer team. The 0-1 to Gonzo. Swing and a miss. Blew an 88-mile-per-hour fastball by him. Gonzo broke a little 0 for 13 streak with a single in the 8th inning yesterday. He scored the only run of the ball game in a 9-1 loss to Harwich here at Lowell Park. He finished the game 1 for 2 with a single and a pair of walks. 0-2 misses up above the letters, 1-2. Anu stands on first base. He swung at the first pitch of the home half of the first for a single. Nick Gonzalez trying to do his job in the 2-hole. Joey Loperfido waits on deck. The 1-2 in the dirt. Good block there by Beaver. It's 2-2 now. So Matt McClain now at shortstop. Benjamin Sem slides over to second base with the departure of the second baseman Darren Baker. Baker, a teammate of Sean Sullivan at Cal State, or at Cal Berkeley rather. Even 2-2 to Gonzalez. Ball misses low. Gonzalez started his hands, was able to hold up, and now it's full to the right-handed hitting second baseman from New Mexico State. Despite the little bit of a lull for Gonzo in the last few ball games, he's still second in the Cape League with 42 base hits. Pickoff over to first. Anu dives back. Gonzalez still leads the entire Cape League with 18 extra base hits as well. The 3-2. Line drive out into left field, and that'll fall for a base hit. Back-to-back singles here for the Kettleers. And they've got something brewing here in the bottom of the first. 2 men aboard, nobody out. And the hot-hitting Joey Loperfido strides to the plate. So now it's Lope, the left-handed hitting right fielder today from Duke. Lope is upped his average, flirting with 300 now, just in the 290s. He was sitting in the low 200s for a good portion of the season. Now he's really started to come on strong for Coach Roberts and his entire Kettleer ball club. First pitch swinging, he fouls it away over the Kettleer kitchen, 0-1. But Perfito hitting .345 over his last 10 games. 4 extra base hits, 3 doubles, a home run. He's driven in 6. The 0-1. Got him on a nice changeup, 0-2. But Perfito trying to stay alive here. 2 men aboard. Nobody out. Casey Schmidt waits on deck. Infield plays back here with 2 strikes, not expecting a bunt. The 0-2. Another changeup right around the same spot. Perfito was just able to get a piece of it. Weinberg's looking to pick up the first out of the inning. The first 2 batters he faced in Anu and Gonzalez led the ball game off here in the home half of the first with singles. But he's ahead 0-2 on Perfito as he comes set at the belt, kicks and deals. Fastball misses high, 1-2. Perfito adjusts the white batting gloves. Takes a look at his barrel. Takes a deep breath and gets back in the batter's box ready for the 1-2. A beautiful day here at Lowell Park once again. 80 degrees. Hardly a cloud in the sky. The 1-2.
Oh.
Plunks him up and in on the shoulder. And that'll load the bases here with no outs for Casey Schmidt, the cleanup hitter.
Well, Weinberg's had him where he wanted him at 0-2, but then he just missed terribly with a fastball. And the Kettleers have a chance with the bases loaded again. Remember, they left the bases loaded twice against Brewster and left them loaded once yesterday against Harwich. Cotuit really due in this position to bring some runs home.
The Kettleers have struggled in their last few ball games with runners in scoring position, and struggled is an understatement. 1 for 18 over those last 3 games. They've left 22 on base. Casey Schmidt trying to change the fortune here with the bases loaded, nobody out. First pitch, Bender gets the inside corner. Schmidt doesn't like it, but it's 0-1. Casey second on the team with 30 hits. Comes into the game hitting .259. 5 home runs, 17 driven in. 0-1, that's lifted into center field. Back towards the wall, ranging back is Ward. He camps under it, but that'll be deep enough to score the run. Tagging is Anu from third, and Gonzalez will slide into third. And it's 1-0 here on the sac fly from Casey Schmidt.
Well, that'll do. What did we talk about last game? The Kettleers wanted to make sure that they got balls into the outfield with a runner on third and less than 2 outs. In this case, Casey Schmidt delivers with the bases loaded. A deep fly ball to center field to plate Anu, and just like that, the Kettleers take a 1-0 lead.
A good job there by Casey to give the Kettleers an early lead, something they haven't had in 3 ball games. And now Mason McCorder trying to pour it on here. First pitch swing, and he pops it up, but it'll tail out of play down the third base line. McCorder was not in the lineup yesterday. It was Matt Mervis who got the start at first base. Yeah, runners on the corners here. Perfito on first can motor. He's got 5 stolen bases this season. Wareham playing for the double play, the infield back. Fastball strike at the letters, 0-2. McCorder looking to put the bat on the ball here. He's behind 0-2. Second run stands on third base, and Nick Gonzalez, 1 away. A ground ball over to Sems at second base. He flips it to a shortstop for 1, on to first, and they get the double play to get out of the inning, but the Kettleers draw first blood. A sac fly from Casey Schmidt scores a Raj Anu, and it's 1-0 in favor of the Kettleers. Will go into the second. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball. Reed Johnston out for the second inning now. He danced out of a little bit of a jam in the first inning, stranded runners on the corners to throw a scoreless first. Now gets the back half of the lineup here for Wareham. It's 6, 7, 8. Benjamin Sems, Matt Rudick, and Chad Stevens. First pitch to Sems, chopped foul by home plate. 0-1. Casey Schmidt plays on the grass, anticipating a bunt. Rest of the infield plays straight up. Sems was the first half of that double play that ended the first inning. Kettleers were threatening to add one more run. But McCorder grounded out to Sems, who flipped it over to McLean. As that one's chopped over to the first base line. Foul ball again, 0-2. Sems, a shortstop, typically from Kansas, playing second base today. Another guy that's been hitting really well, another all-star for this Gatemen team. 3-0-2 coming into the game. 29 for 96, a home run, 3 doubles. Fastball misses away, 1-2. Despite the jam that Reed Johnston got into in the first inning, he only threw 14 pitches, and that's something he's really good at, is keeping the pitch count down and throwing strikes. The 1-2. Ground ball, this one McCorder has a chance at. Fields it, takes it himself, out number 1.
It's pretty amazing he only threw 14 pitches in that first inning, considering he walked the leadoff batter.
He walked Ward to start the ball game off. Then Teeter singled after McLean grounded into a fielder's choice. Thought it might have a little bit of trouble there, but Johnson was able to get out of it. And like you mentioned, Sam, an uncharacteristic walk there for Reed Johnson, especially to a leadoff hitter and a speedster like Braden Ward. But he gets the first batter of the second inning out with Sems, and now it's Matt Rudick, another lefty. Changeup misses low and away, 1-0. Chad Stevens, the third baseman today, waits on deck. The 1-0. Now, foul ball straight back, 1-1. Rudick hitting .263 in 28 games. 3 home runs, 11 driven in. The 1-1. This is low and away, 2-1. And the Gatemen really just don't have a hole in this lineup, Sam. We talked about the .284 batting average as a team. Top of the order is potent, but there's really no hole towards the back. The 2-1 misses away, it's 3-1.
They just have a bevy of these contact hitters with Rudick, Stevens, and Tico as their 7, 8, and 9 batters. You've got a little bit of pop in the middle with Teeter, Del Castillo, and Beaver. It is a deep lineup for Wareham.
3-1. That's lifted out into right field. Coming in is Loperfido. He calls off Gonzalez and makes the grab. Quickly 2 outs here in the second inning for Johnston. Now it's Chad Stevens. Stevens also a natural shortstop, but he plays third base today. Hitting .254 in 21 games. Stevens now bats from the right side. Big leg kick, swings at the first pitch. It yanks it just foul down the third base line. A couple feet away from extra bases there. Stevens, the infielder from the University of Portland. A 6'4", 190-pound infielder from Fox Island, Washington, and Gig Harbor High School. He's behind 0-2 here on Reed Johnston, who's looking to work a 1-2-3 second inning after an adventurous first. The 0-2. Fastball outside corner, got him looking, strike 3. And that's a 1-2-3 second inning for Reed Johnston, who looks like he's settled in here. And we'll go into the home half of the 6th. Kettleers try to add some more. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. 1-0 Kettleers here in the home half of the second. Second half of the order here for Cotuit, Robbie Martin, Colton Kessler, Adam Oviedo. That's 6, 7, 8. Martin getting the start today in left field. The Florida Seminole. First pitch swing and a nice change up there from Weinbergs. Kettleers were able to get to Weinbergs for one in the first. Arajanu and Nick Gonzalez started the inning off with singles. Joey Loperfido was hit by a pitch. Ground ball into right field for a base hit. Robbie Martin singles in his first at-bat and starts the second inning off with a base runner again.
Well, it's only Robbie Martin's third hit of the entire summer, Aram. This is his 10th game overall. And remember that his little breakout performance was against Wareham the last time that these two teams met 13 games ago. That was at Wareham, and he had a big triple in that game. Good to see him making the most of his chance in the starting lineup today with a leadoff single in the second.
And Martin's a young guy, just going to be a sophomore at Florida State. Saw a lot of playing time for a team that made it to the College World Series. And a player that projects really well that you'll expect will be back in Cotuit next year. First pitch changeup misses low and away to the left-handed hitting catcher Colton Kessler. Some evaluators say they could see Robbie Martin as a potential first-round pick if he continues on his trajectory, and you can see why. The 1-0. Popped up, could be playable, running over is Stevens towards the wall, and he makes the grab over the shoulder for out number one.
Good play by Chad Stevens. He had a long way to go, was kind of a little dizzy making that play, if I imagine it. Was sort of running around in a circle and had to make that play right when the ball was coming down. It wasn't really caught at its high point, but still he was able to adjust and catch it.
There's some shadows over there in foul territory by third base. Gets a little wacky down the line. Hard to see even here from the press box. But he, as you said, Sam, he circled back and almost caught it backwards as Oviedo calls for time. Oviedo's been one of the bright spots in this struggling Kettleer order. Well, he's really come on strong in the last few games. He's hitting .263 in his last 10 games, 8 for 30. He's driven in 3. He was sitting around the low 200s for most of the season. He's upped his average now to .240. Pickoff over to first base, and Martin dives back. It's Youth Day here at Lowell Park. A good crowd, many of them kids. We're going to have some festivities after the game. Should be a lot of fun. Another pickoff over to first base. The original Youth Day was moved due to some weather problems. A game that was supposed to be played, and we've had a lot of weather problems all season long, so now Youth Day is today. And a nice crowd. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of kids chasing after balls in the parking lot. A breaking ball, a called strike. It's 0-1.
Well, it's going to be a fun night for the Kettleers with this youth night. Here there's going to be some s'mores and some hot dogs. And you got to remember that the young fans really are a key piece in making the atmosphere of Lowell Park so special. Really a great sight to see.
Martin on the move. Looks like it's a hit and run. It's chopped over to shortstop. No play at second. Throw on to first base and just gets Oviedo. A nice play by McLean throwing on the run. So Robbie Martin advances to second base, but Ovi's retired for out number 2. And now it's Dante Williams, the outfielder from the University of Arizona, back in the lineup today. Dante's seen scattered playing time this season. Just 10 for 54. That's a 185 batting average. The 9-hitter today bats from the left side, trying to add to this Kettleer lead. It's 1-0. Swings through a changeup. Weinbergs continues to start off left-handed hitters with that changeup. Dante, 16 strikeouts to just 5 walks. So he takes the ball in the dirt. It just gets past Beaver, but not far enough for Martin to advance to third. So Martin stands out at second base, representing the second run of the ballgame for the Kettleers. It's 1-0, bottom of the second inning. 2 away here for Dante Williams, looking to make the most of his spot start here today. The 1-1. Big swing, fouls it straight back, 1-2. On deck is Arajanu, the leadoff hitter. That sounds funny to say. He's batting leadoff for the first time this season. Did a good job, though, in his first at-bat single to start the ball game off. So now it's 1-2 to Dante Williams, trying to stay alive here against Weinbergs. The pitch. Change-up fouled away. We'll do 1-2 again. Weinbergs is a righty. Will be a senior at Missouri. Just making his second start this summer for the Wareham Gatemen. The 1-2 again. Check swing on a fastball high. They'll appeal over. Yes, he did, says Rick Gattani. Over behind the mound, and that's strike 3 to Dante Williams. And that's that for the second inning. They strand one. It's Robbie Martin on second base who singled, and that's it here in the second. It's 1-0 still, so we go into the third inning.
Kettleers on top of Wareham, 1-0. Sam Niederman and Arm Layton with you on a Friday afternoon from Cotuit. Reed Johnston back on the hill for his third inning of work. 1-2-3 his last time against Wareham. Now he's up against 9-1-2 in the Gatemen order. Mike Antico, Braden Ward, and then Matt McLean again. 1-0 Kettleers. Casey Schmidt's RBI sac fly to center in the first. That's the difference. Here's Mike Antico, the left-handed batting left fielder from St. John's. Johnson starts him off with a fastball driven into the right center gap. Well, Perfido ranges and then gives way to Williams, who makes the catch for out number 1. Leadoff man retired for Johnston, who's now retired 5 in a row going back to the end of the first. And we're back to the top of the Wareham order with the leadoff man, Braden Ward. 1-0 Cotuit, top 3, 1 down, and nobody aboard. Casey Schmidt plays in a little bit at third base. Shadows from the trees behind him on that third base side. Ward, the left-handed batter out of Washington, he squares and takes a curveball outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Ward walked to let off the game, then was stranded at first base after a ground out from Matt McLean, who's on deck. Wind up in the 1-0. Fastball smacked right up the middle on the ground. Charging pick by Gonzalez, and he let it get under his glove. So Ward advances to first. He's safe on an error at second base by Nick Gonzalez. And Wareham's got a base runner with 1 out here in the top of the third inning.
That's one of those where Nick Gonzalez knew how fast Ward is. He knew he was going to have to be quick, and he rushed it a little bit, was ready to throw it before it was in his glove. And that's what speed does. That's why you always got to bust it up the line, and Ward was able to get into Nick Gonzalez's head there a little bit.
Ward aboard for the second time this afternoon. He's a one-out base runner after the error. Johnston back out of the stretch. McWhorter holds on at first base. It's 1-0 Cotuit in the top of the third. And here's Matt McLean, 0 for 1, reaching on a fielder's choice in the first. He was stranded at third base. Double play depth for the infield. Johnston, a sharp throw over to first to check on Ward. The league leader in stolen bases on first. He has swiped 22 bags so far this summer. Checks his armband and now shuffles off first. McWhorter holds him. There's a gap on the right side of the infield. First pitch, Ward on the run, and it's fouled back. Strike one on McLean. Hit and run on there for Jerry Weinstein's club, but nothing comes of it. Johnston in a no-ball, one-strike lead in the count. It's a sunny day in Cotuit. Clear skies overhead. Temperatures in the high 70s again. Back-to-back good days of good weather. And it's a Friday, which means when the Kettleers are at home, that means the red shirts. Red Shirt Military Appreciation Friday, honoring those who currently serve and have served in our nation's armed forces. 1-0 Cotuit. Ward leads off first again, held on by McWhorter. 1 out in the third. Johnson out of the stretch and a quick throw over. Just a little low and a catch by McWhorter. McLean playing shortstop out of UCLA today. 0 for 4 on Wednesday in a 2-1 defeat against Falmouth. Wareham had the off day yesterday. 0-1. Breaking ball, fouled back. No balls and 2 strikes. Wareham has been on a long road trip. The Gatemen have not played a home game at Spillane Field since last Friday. They went across state lines on Tuesday to play in Hartford, Connecticut in the second annual Dunkin' Donuts Park game against the Whitey Red Sox, and Wareham won that game 3-2. Another throw over to first. This one pretty good. McWhorter tries to show the tag on Ward, but he does not get him. And the little leadoff man dives back in safely a couple more times. One man on with 1 out in the third. Johnston ready at the belt. Stares in, leg lift, 0-2. Fastball just brushed off the plate. 1-2 on McLean. It's the second year in a row that the Cape League has done that game in Hartford, Connecticut, and the second time in a row that Wareham has faced YD. And the second time in a row that Wareham won the game. Good exercise of promotion for the Cape League at the home of the Hartford Yard Goats, Double-A affiliate for the Rockies. Ward on the run, 1-2 in the dirt. Throw down from Kessler, high and outside. And Braden Ward picks up his 23rd stolen base on the season. Ward's up to second base, representing the tying run, now in scoring position with 1 out in the third. Johnston missed earlier with a slider outside, and it's a 2-2 count on McLean. Infield resets back to normal depth. Outfield back in straight up. Reed's ready. A deep breath and an inside move over to second. Nobody covering, though. Gonzalez with a low backhand catch to keep that one from going into center field. Kettleers in the red Military Appreciation Friday tops, white pinstripe pants, and camo hats and socks. Wareham in the road blues, trimmed in red, with gray pants and red, white, and blue socks. 2-2 fastball upstairs, 3-2 on McLean. Cotuit and Wareham have played 4 times this season. Kettleers are 2-2 against the Gatemen. Lost the first game here at Lowell Park. And then picked up another win at Lowell Park to win 11-3. Split on the road at Spillane Field, losing 2-0 and then 11-5 in the most recent victory. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball. McLean down on strikes. Johnston comes back after evening up the count, and he gets a strikeout for out number 2 here in the third.
Johnston's looked really good after that first inning of being able to locate multiple pitches and have these hitters off balance. We talk about how good they are at putting the ball in play. You're not going to strike out everybody, especially Reed Johnston. That's not his calling card, but he's doing a good job of having them off balance, and if he's not striking them out, weak contact has been pretty much the recipe for success for him.
Now Jacob Teeter, the big left-handed batting first baseman, who cuts over the top of a breaking pitch for strike 1. That's Johnston's first strikeout of this afternoon. 2 outs in the top of the third. Kettleers ahead 1-0. Ward on second base after an error and then a stolen base. Oviedo shades him at shortstop. Teeter 1 for 1 today with a single back in the first, the only hit so far for Wareham. Johnston ready, 0-1. Breaking ball, hit in the air to left center field. Williams rounds it and comes in to make the play for out number 3. Reed Johnston works around a 1-out error. No runs on no hits, 1 error, and 1 man left in scoring position for Wareham. And we're on to the bottom of the third. Cotuit comes to the plate on the other side of this break here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Back at Lowell Park, bottom of the third inning. Kettleers lead 1-0 over Wareham. Top of the order due up against Lucas Weinbergs, the right-hander out of Mizzou. Arajanu, Nick Gonzalez, and then Joey Loperfido. 1, 2, and 3 due up for Mike Roberts' sign. Hope you're having a great Friday. Hope it's been a great week. Getting on to the weekend in the dog days of July. It's the 26th, and it's game number 38 for Cotuit. Only 6 more to go after this one. First pitch from Weinbergs, swinging a miss on a changeup down and away, 0-1 on Anu. Anu's 1 for 1 with a run scored. Came in from the RBI sac fly by Schmitty back in the first. 0-1, swinging a miss on a changeup down and outside again, 0-2. Mike Roberts puts his switch-hitting power hitter out of Kentucky into the top spot in his order. And he wanted somebody who would be aggressive and would hit the ball hard. And Anu checked both boxes with a leadoff single on the first pitch in the bottom of the first inning. 0-2, hacking a miss at a fastball. Araj down on 3 consecutive pitches, and Weinbergs gets his second strikeout of the day for out number 1 here in the bottom of the third.
Rare to see Raj swing through a couple of fastballs there. Maybe he was almost caught by surprise because he's gotten a steady diet of breaking balls all season long. Fastballs have been his bread and butter.
1 man out with nobody aboard for Cotuit in the bottom of 3. 1-0 Kettleers, and here's Nick Gonzalez. He takes a breaking pitch low, 1 ball and no strikes. Gonzalez 1 for 1 today. Singled back in the first and was stranded on third base. Weinbergs looks in, nods at the sign from Beaver. 1-0. Curveball in the dirt. 2 balls and no strikes on Gonzalez. Rocking the high camo socks today on Military Appreciation Friday. New look camo gear for all the Cape League teams. Gotta say, this year's gear is pretty solid. It's got the Cape League logo embedded there. Hats are really sharp as well. 2-0 on the way. Fastball spit back out to the opposite field, deep right center field, and that ball's down at the wall for extra bases. Gonzalez speeds into second, and he stops there with a 1-out double here in the third.
I mean, you could only keep him tamed for so long. We knew it was only a matter of time where he starts crushing balls to all parts of the field, and that's a sign that Nick Gonzalez is seeing the ball well again. To drive it out into right center field the other way, deep out that way, Nick Gonzalez looks like he's back after just a couple games of a little bit of a lull.
He's picked up hits number 43 and 44 in his first 2 at-bats this afternoon. He's the league leader in that category, and he now stands off second base with only 1 out in the third for Joey Loperfido at the plate. Weinberg's out of the stretch. First pitch breaking ball fouled off Lope's shin for strike number 1. Loperfido reached on a walk back in the first and then loaded up the bases. The Kettleers only mustered up 1 run out of that situation with the bases loaded and nobody out. Casey Schmidt drove a sac fly into center field to make it 1-0. And then Mason McWhorter grounded into a double play at second to end the inning. 1-0 Cotuit still, man on second with 1 out, and Loperfido takes high on a fastball, 1 ball and 1 strike. Weinberg's only making his second start of the season, a late addition for Wareham out of Mizzou. 6 foot, 195 pounds, a senior from Pinckney, Michigan. 1-1 breaking pitch, just at the shins, 2 balls and 1 strike on Loperfido. Aram told you that his debut start came a week ago at Bourne. He was a winning pitcher in that outing, tossing 6 innings, only allowing 3 runs on 6 hits, walked 1 and struck out 1 against 25 batters. 2-1 out of the stretch. Breaking ball, poked into center field, that's down for a base hit. Gonzalez waved around third. Ward throws it in on a line. Here's the play at the plate, no play, and it's a safe call for Nick Gonzalez, who scores his second run of the ball game for Cotuit. Joey Loperfido produces an RBI single to double up the Kettleer advantage in the third.
And Loperfido was totally fooled on that pitch, but just kept his weight back enough to be able to punch that into center field, and he's really locked in. You could tell by the take on the breaking ball, the pitch before, that he was seeing it well. He gets the breaking ball again, fooled, but still able to stay back and punch it into center field. He is swinging a hot bat right now.
The Kettleers have gotten out to a 2-0 lead on 5 hits. The 1-out double from Gonzalez, and then the floating RBI single by Loperfido on a breaking ball into center field makes it a 2-0 game. Man on first with 1 out for Casey Schmidt. Weinberg's out of the stretch. Curveball high and tight, 1 ball and no strikes. Schmidt, the RBI sac fly to go ahead in the first. That ball was a deep drive to center field. Wareham squeezes in towards second on the middle of the infield for a potential ground ball. Loperfido off first, held on by Teeter. Weinbergs looks in with the rec specs, holds at the belt, 1-0. Fastball popped up to straightaway left field, and Tico comes in by a few steps. There's out number 2. Schmidt retired on a fly ball to left. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third inning. Kettleers ahead 2-0 thanks to Loperfido's RBI single. Next up, Mason McWhorter, 0 for 1 with a 4.63 ground ball double play his first time up, back in the first inning. Weinbergs looks in. Loperfido leads again at first. And the first pitch. Hard fastball just inside at 86 miles an hour. 1 ball and no strikes on McWhorter. Here's the 1-0. Fastball chopped foul on the right side. 1 ball and 1 strike. Coach Mike Roberts challenged the Kettleers to try and find some motivation from within before today's game. So far, they've answered the call to the tune of a 2-0 advantage in the third. 1 man on with 2 outs, 1-1. Breaking ball, tails just outside. 2 balls and a strike on McWhorter. The Kettleers have only won 3 games in their last 10. Slipping late in the season, still in third place in the West, 4 games back of Falmouth for first, and a half game back of Wareham for second. 3 balls and a strike on McWhorter. This afternoon's game, a pivotal matchup between these 2 teams. The winner of this game, and potentially Monday's game at Wareham, which wraps up the regular season between the 2 clubs, could be in the driver's seat to at least host the first-round playoff series as the number 2 seed in the West. Weinberg's out of the stretch, 3-1. Little tapper on the right side of the mound. Weinberg's fields, guns it over to first for out number 3. But the Kettleers add on another. 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base. Joey Loperfido keeps swinging on a hot bat. He has an RBI single to plate Gonzalez, and it's the Kettleers up 2-0 as we go on to the 4th here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Lowell Park. Top of the fourth inning, Kettleers lead 2-0 over Wareham. Glad that you're along with us on a Friday. Sam Niederman and Arm Layton, Jacob Cohen, Josh Rothstein, our production crew right behind us here in the Arnold Mycock building in Cotuit. Wareham's back at the plate with the middle of the order due up. 4, 5, and 6. Adrian Del Castillo, Dallas Beaver, and then Benjamin Sims against the lanky right-hander Reed Johnston. Johnston's first pitch lined out to second. Gonzalez squats down and catches it for out number 1. One pitch, one out for Johnston, who was settled in after allowing runners on first and third in his first inning of work. He has now retired 8 consecutive batters, and only one of them has reached, and that was the runner on an error back in the third. One out with nobody aboard in the top of 4. 2-0 Kettleers. Cotuit added on another run in the bottom of the third inning. Joey Loperfido a base hit to score Nick Gonzalez. Here's a left-handed batting catcher out of South Carolina, Dallas Beaver. And he takes a fastball just on the outside corner for a strike. Beaver's 0 for 1 with a fly out to left field back at the first. It's been a really good story for Wareham, a grad transfer to South Carolina. Just wrapped up 4 seasons with the University of Central Florida Knights. On one fastball on the outer half of the plate again, 0-2. Beaver an all-star. One of 4 consecutive at the top 5 of this Wareham order. Not to mention Benjamin Sims, who follows him up in the on-deck circle. Fastball just a touch outside. Johnston trying to work that outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Beaver. Sparky Burns, our home plate umpire. Umps in the Sky Blues today. 1-2. Fastball just squibbed foul up the third base line. Beaver stays alive after getting a piece of it off the end of his bat. No runs on 1 hit and no errors for Wareham, the league's top offense so far being contained by Johnston. The Kettleers 2 runs on 5 hits and 1 error. Wareham bats .284 as a club. That leads the Cape League. 181 runs scored as well. Second in the league, only behind the Kettleers. The league batting average, for some context, is .248. Wareham a good 35 points plus above that mark. 1-2, roped on the ground to short. Gonzalez funnels it into his chest and plays on to first for out number 2. Back-to-back plays for Nick Gonzalez in the field. Back-to-back outs for Johnston, who's got the last 9 batters he's faced. And they're now 2 clear here in the bottom of the, or top of the 4th rather, with nobody aboard.
This is the Reed Johnston we're used to seeing. Quick, efficient, does not throw a lot of pitches, and just gets guys to get themselves out, which is a really, really easy way to go deep into ball games.
Now Benjamin Sims, middle infielder out of Kansas, who bats from the left side and fouls away strike 1. Sims 0 for 1, grounded to first back of the second inning. 2-0 Cotuit. 2 outs and nobody aboard in the top of the 4th inning. Schmidt plays in on the edge of the grass at third. Johnston delivers the 0-1. Slider low and inside, and it skips to the backstop behind Kessler. 1 ball and 1 strike. Another good Friday show out at Lowell Park in the crowd. Third base grandstand packed up to the gills. Corners are filled. And the left field line peppered with lawn chairs and kids running around. Ground ball to second again. Gonzalez about to make the 3rd out of this inning, and he does. 1-2-3 for Reed Johnston. He's cooking now, and the Kettleers control 2-0 over Wareham out of the bottom of the 4th on the other side of this break. This is Cotuit Kettleers baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
shotgun only.
Cape League action on the Cape Cod Baseball Network, presented to you by Cape Cod Healthcare. Cape Cod Healthcare, expert physicians, quality hospitals, and superior care. Bottom four at Lowell Park. Kettleers on top 2-0 over Wareham. Cotuit back at the plate with Robbie Martin to start things off. And he takes a breaking pitch down at the ankles for ball number 1. Kettleers added on another run in the bottom of the third. Joey Loperfido, the base hit. That scored Nick Gonzalez with only 1 out. 1-0 from Weinbergs. That's down and outside. Another off-speed pitch. 2-0 on Martin. Weinbergs working into his 4th inning. He surrendered 2 runs on 5 hits so far. 2 balls and no strikes on the left-handed batter and Martin. Pitch fouled out into left field, and Tico rounds into the gap and makes the play in fair territory for out number 1. So Martin now 1 for 2 after singling his first time up in the second. He flies out to left field to begin the bottom of the 4th inning. Next up, Colton Kessler, catcher out of Kentucky, another left-handed batter, 0 for 1 with a pop out to third base. Two nothing Cotuit. Empty bases with 1 out, and Kessler takes a fastball low and in for ball 1. Weinbergs winds and delivers. 1-0, swing and a miss on a changeup. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Kettleers offense has been a little more aggressive today, Arm. What do you think they've been doing differently from, say, the last 4 games in which they have not won a game and haven't produced so much at the plate?
They've been hunting fastballs, and that's the big thing they have to do.
Kessler tried to hunt one there. Foul ball back into the parking lot, 1-2.
But the one thing that Weinbergs has just been able to keep himself alive with is that changeup. It looks like the fastball, and he's been throwing it to the left-handed hitters. If they can identify the changeup, which is a really hard thing to do, maybe the hardest thing to do as a hitter, and make him throw that fastball, they'll be in good shape.
1-2, fastball a touch low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Weinberg's a little right-handed pitcher from Mizzou. He's got the specs on it, an interesting windup. He holds the ball in his mitt over his left shoulder and lets his right arm dangle while he gets the sign. Then zones it out in front of his chest, takes a deep breath, and winds. 2-2, hard ground ball to first, scooped up by Teeter for out number 2.
And Weinbergs has started off just about every left-handed hitter in this ballgame with a changeup. His changeup is his best pitch, and that's why he's been able to get them to swing through it. It makes his fastball look that much better because it's only in the high 80s. So they really need to do a good job of waiting up on that changeup, leaving that one down, and making him come to you with a fastball.
Well, now there are 2 outs in the bottom of 4. Nobody aboard for Adam Oviedo. Number 8 batter today from the right side, and he gets a fastball over the plate for strike number 1. Oviedo 0 for 1, grounded out to his own position at shortstop back in the 2nd inning. His 4-game hitting streak came to an end yesterday with an 0 for 4 outing against Harwich. 0-1. Fastball, little blooper, and that's into shallow center for a single. Adam Oviedo gets on the board with the 6th hit of the day for Cotuit. A 2-out base hit to short center field, and that keeps the inning alive for the number 9 man, Dante Williams.
So right-handers have had the success because the changeup's not as effective against those right-handed hitters as a righty pitcher. We'll see what he goes to early here now against the lefty with Dante Williams at the plate.
I think you got the right beat on it. I'm guessing changeup too.
And that's why he'll throw a fastball and make us look like fools up here.
Here we go. Runner on first with 2 outs. First pitch fastball fouled back. 0-1. 87 miles an hour from Weinbergs.
That's why we're in the booth, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's our jinx. Dante Williams 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the 2nd. Kettleers lead 2-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Teeter holds on Oviedo. Weinberg's at the belt. A 1 fastball on the inside corner, 0-2 on Williams.
Looked like Williams was looking for the same thing. He was leaning over a little bit on that take. I think he was ready for a changeup, and when you're sitting changeup and you get a fastball, you got no chance.
Weinbergs has him in an 0-2 count. 1 man on with 2 away in the 4th. And a pick over to check on that runner in Oviedo, who extends back into first base safely.
But it's a good job by Weinbergs because we were noticing a pattern here in the booth. The hitters noticed that same pattern, and he throws them off that trail a little bit, which is something important to do as a pitcher.
2-strike pitch. Fastball runs up high. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Williams. Well, if we've got a beat on it, then they probably have a beat on it. But you know your stuff. You know how to play out there. If I have a beat on it, then they definitely have a beat on it. How about that? Here's a 1-2. Fastball low. 2-2 now. Kettleers trying to build on a 2-0 advantage against Wareham. Cotuit has had 1 hit at least in every inning so far. It's Adam Oviedo's 2-out single that keeps the 4th going here. 2-2 breaking ball inside, and it actually hits the batter in Williams. Dante Williams, a hit batsman. He advances to first base, and Oviedo moves up to second base, and now the top of the order gets a chance for some 2-out production with 2 men on and a 2-0 lead in the bottom of 4.
And it's another instance here where Weinberg plunks a Kettleer batter with 2 strikes. And that's something we saw come back to bite the Kettleers yesterday. Kyle Nicholas did it a couple times. And it's really a tough pill to swallow if you're a pitcher, because it's so hard to get ahead of these hitters in the Kettleer lineup, and then outs are already hard to come by. You're giving them away.
All kinds of guys have been getting hit for the Kettleers as of late and all season long. Here's Arajanu. He waves over the top of a change. 0-1. That's the 36th hit batsman for Cotuit so far this summer, and that leads all Cape League teams. We saw 4 Kettleers get hit by a pitch on Wednesday at Brewster. No balls and a strike on Anu. Change up in the dirt. He laid off of it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Anu's 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored in the first. He struck out his last time up in the third. Williams, the hit batsman, off first. Teeter plays back. Oviedo a single on second, shaded by McLean. 2-0 Cotuit. Weinberg's 1-1. Fastball jacked out to deep right field. Arajanu, brute force into the trees. It's a 3-run bomb. Arajanu clobbers his 5th homer of the season, and that makes it a 5-0 Kettleer lead with 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th.
Well, Raj is making Coach Roberts look like a genius here today. He goes with a bit of a leap of faith, putting him in the leadoff spot, and he is doing a great job jumping on pitches. Gets a chance to hit here with Williams getting hit, and now blows this game open. And it's got to be good for Raj, who went through that tough spell in the middle of the season, then went down with an injury. Now he comes back, and he is red hot.
Arajanu cashes in all the chips on a 2-out rally here in the home half of the 4th. Oviedo sparked it with a 2-out base hit to center. Williams hit on a 2-2 pitch, and then Anu cleans it up with his 5th jack of the year over the right field wall. 5-0 Cotuit. Here's Nick Gonzalez with the bases empty and ball 1 on a breaking pitch outside. Anu, a 3-run home run. And once again, the Kettleers go yard. 1-0 fastball outside. This Cotuit offense, which seemingly went into a little bit of a slump heading into today's game, still leads the Cape League with home runs. That's the 33rd of the season for the entire team.
And you get the feeling nobody's going to catch them.
2-0 to Gonzalez. Pop up on the infield. On the right side, Teeter comes in for it. Chugging in, and now he gives way to the catcher, Beaver, who wasn't able to make the catch. That ball drops, and Gonzalez is safe at first base. Chalk it up as an error on the catcher, Dallas Beaver. Maybe a little miscommunication factored into that one as well. It looked like Teeter was going to make the play. He came bumbling and stumbling in from first base, and then Beaver ended up calling for it behind home plate, and then watched it bounce off the heel of his mitt, and Gonzalez is on for the 3rd time in 3 tries today.
Couple of things to take away from that play. Gonzalez was frustrated off the bat, stood there for a second, then hustled down to first base, and that's why you always run it out.
Joey Loperfido now fouls off strike 1.
The other thing is that should not be Dallas Beaver's ball. That is way too far out into the field. It looked like Teeter never wanted it. He was fighting the sun. You can't blame him. The sun's directly overhead that way. But someone's got to take command there, and it shouldn't be the catcher.
0-1. Fouled away on the left side. 0-2 on Loperfido. He's reached twice with a walk and an RBI single. The error by Beaver keeps the Kettleers going. 4th straight batter to reach in a 3-run 4th inning with 2 outs. 5-0 Cotuit, man on second, and the 0-2. Curveball in the dirt. Loperfido thought about turning his hands on it, but stayed off of it. 1-2 now. Rajanu's 3-run home run has added on to the Kettleer 5-run lead. Gonzalez a short lead at first. Teeter holds him on. Weinberg's out of the stretch for the 1-2. Curveball served up into left field, and Tico ranges back and catches for out number 3. But the Kettleers pounce. A 3-run strike to right field by Rajanu. And it's 5-0 Cotuit with 4 innings of play in the books at Lowell Park. Be right back in just a moment. This is Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Control here thanks to a 3-run bomb from Rajanu in the home half of the 4th. It's now 5-0 in favor of Cotuit. We're in the top of the 5th inning now. It's the bottom third of the order with Matt Rudick, Chad Stevens, and Mike Antico. Rudick squares to bunt, pulls it back on a fastball that crowds him inside, 1-0. Rudick, the right fielder, is 0 for 1. He flew out to right. Gets his second look at Johnston now, who has yet to surrender a base runner since he gave up 2 in the first inning. He stranded runners on the corners back in the first inning. That's all that they've been able to get going here for Wareham. This is low and in. So it's 3-0 to the leadoff hitter here in the 5th inning, Matt Rudick. Johnston walked just his 5th batter of the year. Back in the first inning, it was actually the first batter of the ball game, Braden Ward. 3-0. That's a strike on the inside corner. It's 3-1. Sparky Burns behind home plate. He's got the distinguishable strike call. He really gets into it. You got Jeff Merzel at first base, the 3-1. That's lined into center field, a base hit. So Rudick picks up a single to start off the 5th. And now Chad Stevens will get his second look at Reed Johnston. Rich Gattani, the third base umpire today, who slides into the B position behind the mound now with the runner on first base. Chad Stevens struck out swinging back in the second inning. He's one of 2 victims today of Reed Johnston. Stevens, the right-handed hitting third baseman from Portland. Pickoff over to first base. Rudick dives back. 6'4", 190 pounds. Hit .288 this spring. 4 home runs. Drove in 26. He can motor a little bit too. Swiped 12 bags. A draft pick by the Padres out of high school. He squares to bunt. Pulls back on a breaking ball that is called a ball low. The appeal over to first base. Jeff Merzel says he did not offer. So it's 1-0 to the third baseman, who's hitting .254 this season, 15 for 59. He's driven in 11 runs. Runner on the move. He got a good jump, but a foul ball down the third base line. That was an easy stolen base for Rudick there, but Stevens fouled it off, and Rudick's going to have to go back to first. He was about halfway to second base before the ball was even off of the bat of Stevens. I don't even know if there would have been a throw from Kessler behind the plate. A great jump there from Rudick. Nothing to show for it, though. He goes back to first. And now it's 1-1 to Stevens. A pickoff over to first base. Rudick dives back. Rudick has swiped 3 bags so far this season. He's only tried 3 times. See if he stays much longer. He does this time. A square to bunt. It's a hard one. Foul down the third base line. That's strike 2. So Harvey Shapiro Jerry Weinstein rather, playing some small ball here. He was the bench coach of the Kettleers last season. I'm sure he got used to that small ball atmosphere with Coach Roberts. Coach Roberts himself likes to play small ball, leads the Cape League with 14 sacrifice bunts, Cotuit does. Another pickoff over to first base, he dives back. Wareham has 10 sacrifice bunts of their own. 1-2 to Stevens. The pitch. Crowds him inside. It's 2-2. Rudick stays put on first base. Nobody out here on deck is Mike Antico, the 9-hitter. 2-2 count to the 8-hitter, Chad Stevens. Johnston ready to throw his 55th pitch of the game, and it's a strikeout. Swing and a miss on an 89-mile-per-hour fastball, and there's one away here. Third strikeout of the ball game for Reed Johnston, and now he gets the 9-hitter Mike Antico. So Antico, the left fielder, the 9-hitter today, bats from the left side. 242 on the season. He's 0 for 1 with a fly out to center. He takes a first pitch fastball high for ball 1. Johnston's been sitting around the high 80s today. 86 to 88. Spotting up the fastball with a curveball that'll sit around the mid 70s to the high 70s. Another pickoff over to first. On deck is the leadoff hitter Braden Ward. One away. Reed Johnston looking for a double play, as is his middle infield. They're shaded up the middle. 1-0 curveball. Just too far inside. 2-0. Casey Schmidt playing with his toes on the grass at third base. Shadows strut to make their way across the infield here at Lowell Park. The 2-0 misses away. 3-0. There's a 5 o'clock first pitch here at Lowell Park on Red Shirt Friday in honor of those who are serving and who have served our country. And it's also Youth Day. A 2 for 1 here today. There's a 3-0's poured in for a strike. We'll have s'mores, hot dogs after the game for the kids. It feels like every day's Youth Day here, though, at Lowell Park, Sam. Always a good crowd of kids chasing after foul balls, having some fun. The 3-1. Strike on the outside corner, 3-2. Antico shaking his head. He thought that was off the plate away. Sparky Burns disagrees, and it's full.
Yeah, I can't really agree or disagree with Antico on that last one there. Just low outside, and Colton Kessler was able to frame it enough for Sparky Burns to call it a strike.
That'll give us a payoff pitch. Runner on the move. Swing and a miss. The throw to second is up the line. So a strikeout to Antico. But Rudick swipes second base, and that's the second stolen base of the ball game for Wareham. The other stolen base is by the man striding to the plate right now, Braden Ward.
Well, Johnston has been so good ever since a shaky first inning. He's retired 12 of his last 14 batters, and one of those batters reached on an error. Other than that, he has been dynamite and just has calmed the seas on the mound for the Kettleers.
That he has. He's only surrendered 2 hits in this ball game. with 2 away here in the 5th inning. Back to the top of the order. First pitch to Braden Ward, a changeup. Strike at the letters, 0-1. Ward's 0 for 1. He's reached base both at bats. He walked in the first, reached on an error in the third. And he swiped a bag after reaching on that error back in the 3rd inning. The 0-1. Fastball just inside, 1-1. Ward stole his 23rd bag in 28 chances. He's got a chance to put Wareham on the board here. They're trailing by 5. 2 away here in the 5th inning. 5-0 in favor of Cotuit. The 1-1 pitch. Chopper over to the right side, out of the reach of Gonzalez. Coming around third is Rudick. The throw home is high, and he will score. It gets past Kessler, and Ward will coast into second base. Takes a big turn towards third, but Reed Johnston backing up. We'll look at him over there and force him back to the bag, but that's an RBI single for Braden Ward. Plates a run. Advancing to second on the error by the right fielder, Joey Loper-Fido.
Well, Wareham was due to get one. They're still in it 5-1, and that Arajanu home run is really big. That little 2-out rally that the Kettleers pieced together in the 4th looks really big too. And now Reed Johnston gets a little mound visit from Coach Roberts, and I think Coach is going to go to the pen here.
So the 3rd hit of the ball game that Reed Johnston gives up also surrenders the first run. So now it's 5-1. We'll see if Coach Roberts goes to the pen. It looks like he is going to the pen. The new arm will be Matt Mervis, and that means Reed Johnston's day is done with 2 outs here in the 5th inning. We'll have more on the switch-up when we come back from this brief break. Matt Mervis does come into the game, but he actually plays third base. Casey Schmidt slides over to the mound. He'll be the reliever. So Mervis comes in for Anu, whose day will end at 2 for 3 with that 3-run shot. Mervis now slides into the leadoff spot. The Kettleers burn the DH. So Mervis plays third. And Casey Schmidt will remain in the lineup, but now he's the pitcher. And he inherits a runner on second base with 2 outs here in the 5th. And he'll face Matt McLean. McLean 0 for 2. He reached on a fielder's choice in the first, struck out swinging in the third. First pitch from Schmidt, fouled away, 0-1. Schmidt has really dropped that ERA down pretty much every single time he comes out on the mound. It's down to 2.64 in now his 10th appearance. He's picked up 3 saves, struck out 23 in 17 innings. Needs 1 out here to get out of the 5th inning and keep Reed Johnson at just 1 earned run. The 0-1. Fastball outside corner, 0-2. Johnston's line not yet final, but he's gone 4 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 Ks. He's responsible for Braden Ward out at second base. Schmidt trying to strand him there. He's 1 strike away from doing so against Matt McLean, the 2-hitter and shortstop. Schmidt comes set, checks on second base, the pitch. Just nicked foul by McLean. Will do nothing in 2 again. Schmidt's ERA was as high as 5.63 back on July 6th. Since then, he's not given up a single run, and it is down to 2.65. He has been a rock at the back end of the bullpen ever since. The 0-2 misses way outside. 94 there from Casey Schmidt, reaching back for a little extra. Unfortunately, that came with a little bit of tug, and he missed away there to Matt McLean, 1-2. He has some pitches to work with here. Middle of the infield, playing up the middle. Nick Gonzalez shaded over towards second base. Big hole on the right side. Mason McWhorter a few feet over towards second base as well. The 1-2. Another fastball overthrown by Casey, and it's 2-2. McWhorter playing about 10 paces to the right of first base. Nick Gonzalez shaded up the middle. Left side of the infield plays straight up. 5-1. Wareham finally got on the board here in the 5th inning thanks to an RBI single by Braden Ward. He advanced to second on the wayward throw by Joey Loperfido out of right field, trying to gun down Rudick at home. On deck is Jacob Teeter. He's 1 for 2. McLean 0 for 2. And a 2-2 count with 2 outs and a runner on second base. Schmidt comes set. The pitch. Lifted out into center field. Should be an easy out there for Williams. He camps under it. Makes the grab, and Casey Schmidt gets out of the 5th inning and closes the book for Reed Johnson, who only surrenders 1 run in this game. Wareham does get on the board. It's 5-1 now as we go into the bottom of the 5th. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball. here for the Gatemen. That means Lucas Weinberg's day is done. The new arm is Joseph Barron, a southpaw, making his 4th appearance of the season, his 2nd against Cotuit. He's from East Stroudsburg University. A 2.7 ERA in just 3 games. He's thrown 6 2/3 innings, struck out 4, surrendered 6 hits. He faces the middle of the Kettleer order. First pitch to Casey Schmidt, misses low and away. The final line for Lucas Weinberg's 4 innings pitched. He surrendered 7 hits, 5 runs all earned, walked 1 and struck out 1. He's in line for the loss. The 1-0. A breaking ball at the letters, called strike. Casey Schmidt's 0 for 1. Picked up a sac fly and an RBI back in the first. That was the first run of the ball game for the Kettleers. Schmidt now on the mound. So he takes that curveball low and in. He slid over from third base onto the mound to relieve Reed Johnston, whose day ended at 4 2/3. 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 4 Ks. He was responsible for Ward on second base, but Schmidt was able to get McLean to fly out and end that 5th inning. Fouled off his foot, trickles down the third base line. That'll make things 2-2. Schmidt batting from the right side against the southpaw, who's made just his 4th appearance. He threw 3 innings against Cotuit back on June 19th. 3 innings. Did not give up a run. Walked 2 and gave up 2 hits. Another breaking ball. Schmidt just pulls foul towards his own dugout. Just 5'10", 190 pounds is Barron on the mound from West Hazelton, Pennsylvania. Will be a senior at East Stroudsburg. The 2-2 to Schmidt. Swing and a miss. Got him on a nice changeup there and 1 away.
Well, Joey Barron is a tough cookie out of the bullpen for Wareham. He dominated against the Kettleers all the way back on the opening week of the season with 3 scoreless innings. Faced 12 batters. He did walk 2 of them, but his curveball is his best pitch, and he was able to have Schmidt out in front of it that entire at-bat.
Now it's Mason McCorder who swings at the first pitch he sees from Barron and fouls it away. 0-1. McCorder 0 for 2 on the game. Grounded into an inning double play in the first with a chance to plate an RBI. There was runners on the corners. There's a breaking ball, gets the outside corner. It's 0-2. Barron works in the upper 80s. Has the changeup and curveball. The 0-2 goes to the changeup, swing and a miss, and he struck out the first 2 batters he's faced here in the 5th inning.
That's another big strength of this Wareham team. They have a couple of good starters in J.P. Gates and Ian Bedell, but then their bullpen is just really deep. You got guys like Joey Barron that have now come in for the back half of the season. You've got an all-star in Trent Palmer. Brandon Fott has registered 29 innings this year with a 3.10 ERA. Just a lot of good back-end guys for Jerry Weinstein to work with.
And he starts off Robbie Martin, another left-handed hitter with a breaking ball, swings through it. Martin's 1 for 2. He singled in his first at-bat. He pops up a high inside fastball. We'll see if it's playable. It's not. It gets out of play in front of the grandstand between both the dugout and that third base grandstand. Plenty of fans down the line. The grandstand's totally full on the third base side. Fans covering all the grass area to the left of that grandstand seating area with their own chairs over in the shaded region over there. 0-2 swing and a miss. It gets past the catcher Beaver. He picks it up, flips it on to first base, but it gets away from the first baseman. We're going to have time here because Robbie Martin did kick that ball inadvertently. We'll see what the call is, whether that's interference on Martin and the batter is out. As of now, he was safe at first base.
Well, this will be interesting, Aram. There was never a window for Beaver to throw, and I didn't quite catch it myself, but Martin did end up making contact with that ball, apparently, and that's what they're looking at here.
And they're going to call him out. Looks like the right call there. Martin did kick it as he was running out of the box. It was inadvertent, but it got away from the catcher Beaver, and as you mentioned, Sam, had no throwing lane. So, in a funky way, He strikes out the side here, Barron does. 1, 2, 3. And we'll go into the 6th inning. The Kettleers are still in control, up 4 runs. We'll be back after the other side of this break.
Cotuit, top of the 6th inning. Kettleers on top, 5-1 over Wareham. And we're glad that you're along with us. It's Sam Niederman, alongside Arm Layton in the booth, Jacob Cohen and Josh Rothstein. Cape League action on the Cape Cod Baseball Network, presented by Curry College. You can learn online about Curry College at curry.edu. That's Curry College online at curry.edu. Here's Jacob Teeter to start things off. Casey Schmidt begins with a splitter that runs inside into the backstop for ball 1. Schmidt's on for his first full inning of work. He got the final out in the 5th to relieve Reed Johnston. Johnston goes 4 2/3 of an inning in his start, allows 1 run on 3 hits, only walked 1. That was the leadoff batter, and then struck out 4. 1-0 to Teeter. Off-speed pitch, tagged in at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike. Teeter, the all-star, big left-handed batting first baseman out of Florida Southern College, 1 for 2 today. A single in the first to fly out to center field in the 3rd. Schmidt out of the stretch, 1-1. Fastball just a tick inside. Check swing from Teeter. Did not go around according to both umpires. 2 balls and a strike. Matt Mervis playing in and towards the middle of the left side of the infield, right on the edge of the grass at third base. 5-1 Cotuit in the 6th. 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball just down and outside. 2-2 now. Schmidt has looked a little more fresh. He has not pitched since the tie against Bourne that was back on Tuesday. He's had a few days rest, and he only threw an inning in that game. Coach Roberts has made sure to space out at least 4 or 5 days in between for his two-way star out of San Diego State. 2-2 fastball down and away. Full count now on Teeter. Kettleers trying to make it 3 wins in 5 tries against Wareham so far. A win today would leap Cotuit over Wareham in the standings. Kettleers only down by a point. That's a half game for second place in the West. 4 games back for Falmouth for first. Payoff pitch. Hard fastball lined over to second, and Gonzalez picks it out of the air for out number 1. Second line out to Nick Gonzalez at second today. The other one came from this man who climbs up to the plate, Adrian Del Castillo, a DH out of Miami. Teeter lines out that way to begin the top of the 6th inning. And there's 1 out and the bases are empty. Kettleers ahead by 4. 5-1 our score in the top of the 6th. Mervis stays in at third base. First pitch of Del Castillo. Waving a miss at a high fastball for strike 1. Cotuit opened up the game with an RBI sac fly from Schmidt. Now he tries to protect a 4-run advantage on the mound. Arajanu adds on a 3-run home run for Cotuit in the 4th. 0-1. Change up fouled away on the left side, out of play. No balls and 2 strikes on Del Castillo. 0 for 4 today, or 0 for 2 rather. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 1st and then lined out to position number 4 in the 4th inning. That was the second baseman, Gonzalez. Bases clear with 1 away. Schmidt rocks on the right side of the rubber, hesitates with a leg lift, and then delivers a 96-mile-an-hour fastball high and outside. Ball 1 on Del Castillo. Mervis now plays back at third base. Wareham did get a run in the 5th. It came right before Schmidt entered the game, an RBI single by Braden Ward. 1-2. Fastball just knocked right in front of the plate, scooped up by Kessler, and a barehand throw to first for out number 2. Schmidt gets the first 2 batters of this inning. He's retired all 3 that he's faced so far in this relief appearance. And now he's up against Dallas Beaver, the big catcher from South Carolina. 0 for 2 from the left side. A fly out to left field, and a ground out to second his last time up. Kettleers ahead 5-1, top of 6. Cotuit in the red Military Friday tops on white pants with the camo socks and hat. First pitch to Beaver. Fastball that whips high and inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Wareham's in the road blue tops, red letters and numbers, a W on the left side of the front panel. Gray pants and red and blue socks if they're pulled up high. 1-0 fastball high and away. 2 balls and no strikes on Beaver. 1 run on 2 hits and 1 error for Wareham. 5 runs on 7 hits. And 2 errors for Cotuit at home. Schmidt rocks back and forth, closes off out of the stretch, wiggles the mitt, lifts the leg, and delivers a fastball that's punched into the air. Shallow left field. Oviedo's under it at short, and he makes the catch for out number 3. Casey Schmidt, 3 up and 3 down in the 6th. We played 5.5 at Cotuit. Kettleers 5, Wareham 1. Be right back in just a moment on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Lowell Park, bottom of the 6th inning, Kettleers 5 and Wareham 1. Cotuit's back at the plate against a new pitcher. Jerry Weinstein dips into his bullpen for his 3rd pitcher of the afternoon. That's it for Joey Barron. He struck out the side in the 5th. And now it's Christopher Maloney who comes into the game, a right-hander from Jacksonville University. He's made 1 appearance on the year. He pitched an inning just at the beginning of the week against Bourne, and he walked 3 batters, was somehow able to get out of that inning scoreless. And he comes on to face the bottom of the Kettleer order. 7, 8, 9 due up for Cotuit. Colton Kessler, Adam Oviedo, and then Dante Williams. So it's Maloney, the right-hander. Kettleer's already in front 5-1. And hope you're having a great Friday out there. Sam Niederman and Aram Layton. And a special shout-out to the Cape League Life Podcast, the Cotuit Kettleers official podcast, presented to you by our own Bobby Manning. Fun little podcast that covers all the stories and the people of the Cape League, specifically on the Kettleers. You can find it archived on all platforms. Go to Apple Podcasts and all your other audio streaming platforms. It's the Cape League Life Podcast by Bobby Manning, covering the Cotuit Kettleers. Arm, you were on the podcast earlier this afternoon. You had a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, he asked me about the season. It's always fun to talk about it. Really the first time I've gotten to talk about it. And it kind of put things in perspective. We've only got a handful of games left here before the playoffs. This is a big one right here. The Kettleers need to pick it up. But, yep, you can listen to it. I think it'll be out in a couple days. And he asked me about you a couple times, Sam, so you're going to have to listen to that.
I guess I'm going to have to make sure you're not slandering me behind my back. But anyway, that's a Cape League Life podcast by Bobby Manning. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. He does a wonderful job. The first episode I heard was just so intriguing. Was able to talk about the Lexington Blue Sox and former Kettleer player and Lexington manager Rick DeAngelis. Caught up on some great stories. You can always find great anecdotes on that podcast by Bobby Manning. So it's the bottom of the sixth. Kettleers lead 5-1. New pitcher on, Christopher Maloney, the right-hander from Jacksonville U. And Colton Kessler digs in from the left side, 0 for 2 today. First pitch from Maloney, a hard fastball at 93 miles an hour, way outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Kessler a ground out to first base his last time up in the 4th inning. Maloney works exclusively out of the stretch. He closes off on the third base side of the rubber. His infield backs him up, straight up. Leg lift in the 1-0. Wild fastball outside again, 2-0 on Kessler. Cotuit jumped on Wareham in the 1st inning. Coach Roberts wanted a spark from his team, and they got one. Arajanu with a leadoff single on the first pitch of the game. He scored on Casey Schmidt's RBI sac fly to center. And the Kettleers got another with the RBI single from Loperfido in the 3rd to make it 2-0. Added 3 more in the 4th. Arajanu a 3-run blast to right field, his 5th home run of the season. Wareham was able to respond for 1 run in the 5th on Braden Ward's RBI hit. That's where we stand right now, 5-1 Cotuit in the bottom of the 6th. Nobody on and nobody out for the leadoff batter in Kessler. Maloney set for a 2-1 pitch. Awkward windup and the delivery. Swing and a miss on a high fastball, 2-2. He kind of bends his body in a couple of different ways before coming set. One of the more interesting windups we've seen all season long. Maloney looks in, holding the ball behind his right hip. Now comes set. Here's a 2-2. Fastball called for a strike on the outside corner, and that sits down Kessler looking. Christopher Maloney gets his first Cape League strikeout. It's a backwards K against Kessler to lead off the bottom of the 6th. One down, base is empty. Here's Adam Oviedo, 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored in the 4th. He picked up his 5th game with at least 1 hit in his last 6 games. 5-1 Cotuit, and Maloney's first pitch. Hard fastball up at the chin, 94 miles an hour for ball 1. Maloney, a lot of movement in between pitches. Adjusts the brim of his cap. Wipes some sweat off his forearm. Now he comes set. Bends in at the waist, 1-0. Fastball spotted on the outside corner for strike 1 on Oviedo. 1 ball and 1 strike. Oviedo in Cotuit for his 2nd summer. Had just finished up his freshman season at Texas Christian University last year and was the everyday shortstop for the Kettleers for most of the year before splitting time with Florida State shortstop Mike Salvatore. Takes a breaking pitch here to go down on the count 1-2. Now he just wrapped up his 2nd season in Fort Worth and then returns to Cotuit for the 2nd straight summer. Oviedo set to transfer to Oral Roberts University in the fall, a D1 program out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here's the 1-2. Dipped down on a breaking pitch and chopped it to 3rd. Stevens swoops in and plays on to 1st in the nick of time for out number 2. Christopher Maloney, 2 up and 2 down here in the bottom of the 6th. Kettleers still have the lead 5-1. Oviedo retired on a ground out to 3rd, and that brings it around to the number 9 batter, Dante Williams. Left-handed batting center fielder from Arizona. He's reached once in 2 plate appearances. A hit batsman back with 2 outs in the 4th. And he was brought home with Arajanu's big-time home run to right. Maloney's first pitch. Hard fastball on the inside corner for a strike, 0-1. Lowell Park still buzzing on a Friday afternoon. Sun setting behind us. brushstroke white clouds on top of a sky blue overdrop. Shadows on the left side of the diamond. Maloney's breaking ball just upstairs. 1 ball and 1 strike on Williams. Next up, Cotuit goes on the road to take on Chatham. It's a Down Cape matchup at 7 p.m. tomorrow. We'll have the radio call for you right here on Mixlr.com/Cotuit Broadcasting. 1-1. Rip and a miss by Williams. 1-2. Hear from Coach Roberts early. Pre-game show starts at 6:50 Eastern Time. 7 p.m. first pitch will be live from Veterans Field in Chatham. Kettleers back home for their 3rd home game in their last 4 games on Sunday. Cotuit will take on the Whitey Red Sox for the first time in forever. First time since a doubleheader on Father's Day on opening week. 1-2, hack and a miss by Williams. Christopher Maloney with a little bit of gas to get his 2nd strikeout of this inning. And it's a 1-2-3 frame for the right-hander out of the bullpen. We played 6, and it's Cotuit up 5-1 on Wareham. Alrighty, 7th inning from Cotuit, 5-1 Kettleers on top of Wareham. Here's Benjamin Sems and Matthew Rudick and Chad Stevens to face the right-handed pitcher Casey Smith. He's on for his 2nd full inning of work. He would work 2 1/3 if he wraps this one up. He got the final out in the 5th. First pitch breaking ball inside on Sems. 1 ball and no strikes. Sems, the all-star 2nd baseman out of Kansas. 0 for 2 today with a bounce out to 2nd base. Back in the 4th inning. Schmitz 1-0. Splitter dives inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Matt Mervis still plays in on 3rd base against a left-handed batter. We've seen the Kettleers approach defense against lefties that way pretty much all season long. They do it again here against Sems, who hits over 300 on the year. 2-0. Fastball pumped right down Broadway for a strike, 2-1. Loperfido's in the sun in right field, everything else covered up in the shadows. Crowd buzzing and walking around at Lowell Park, 3rd base grandstand full, concourse pretty active as well. Schmitty's ready out of the stretch, 2-1. Fastball knocked off foul on the left side, 2-2 on Sems. Cotuit scored 5 straight out of the gate. Capped off by Arajanu's 3-run home run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th inning. Wareham was able to get 1 back in the top of the 5th. Braden Ward produced a 2-out RBI single to chase Reed Johnston out of the game, and that's given way for Schmidt. 2-2. Changeup roped on the ground. First base, McWhorter tosses on to Schmitty, who covers at first for out number 1.
And that's the benefit of having an infielder on the mound right now. Schmidt got over there, I think, faster than any other pitcher on the staff would get there. It was going to be a tough play to beat Sems running down the line, but good job by Schmitty to just bolt to first base there and cover.
Leadoff man retired in the top of the 7th inning. Schmidt has retired all 5 batters he's faced so far. 1 down, base is empty. Here's Matthew Rudick. Left-handed batting right fielder, 1 for 2 with a single, a steal, and a run scored his last time up in the 5th. 5-1 Kettleers, first pitch. Rudick shows bunt, rips it back for ball 1. Fastball just outside at 93 miles an hour. The Kettleers have dropped off a little bit in the last 10 games, only winning 3 of them. Winless in their last 4, including a 9-1 blowout loss against Harwich yesterday. Mervis plays in by a step at third, 1-0. Rudick does not show any sign of bunting, and he takes a strike down the middle, 1-1. The Kettleers are just above 500 at 17-16-4. Likely out of it for first place in the West Division, with only 6 more games to go after this one. But this Cotuit team might have something special in the air with the makeup of players they have. It's a 1-2 count on Rudick, Casey Schmidt being one of them. A two-way guy out of San Diego State who began the season with a pedestrian .250 batting average. Now he's reached base in 16 consecutive games. He still has to find a way to up that today, working on an 0 for 3 day with a sac fly back in the first. But his pitching has been dynamic out of the bullpen, and he might be Mike Roberts' new closer when it comes to playoff time in just a week or so. 1-2 fouled off. Rudick stays alive.
Going back to when you were talking about the division and getting into first place, it seems like it might be out of reach because the Commodores, who are up 5 points on the Kettleers, also have 3 games in hand. They still have 3 games to make up, so they have a nice little advantage there. But that final double header at the end of the season could end up mattering. You never know.
1-2 breaking ball, sliced down the left field line, foul. Rudick continues to battle with a 1-2 count. It is a doubleheader at Falmouth for the regular season finale. Looked like it could have been a division winner-take-all showdown for one point in the year, but then Cotuit's dropped off. And Falmouth, as Arm mentioned, has 3 games in hand, right now commanding first place in the West at 21-12-1. Base is empty with 1 out in the 7th, 1-2. Chopper on the right side, McQuarter. Oh, it ate him up. It's into right field. Rudick rounds first. He wants second. Loperfido picks and throws in late. Matthew Rudick gets on base with 1 out in the 7th inning. We'll see how they scored on Mason McQuarter, who came in for that ball at first base. And then it nicked up on him on a short hop. It is indeed an error on the first baseman out of Georgia Southern. The 3rd one of the day for Cotuit, and it gives Wareham a runner in scoring position with only 1 down in the top of the 7th.
McQuarter got caught in between there, a topspin chopper. At first he thought about going in, then he dropped back, and once you do that, that's how you get caught in no man's land. You got to commit one way or the other. Either sit back on it and take your chances of tagging first base before Rudick gets there, or go all out and charge it. But the second you hesitate, that's when you get in trouble, and that's exactly what happened with the ball eating up McQuarter at first.
It was one of those should I stay or should I go plays, and he got caught in no man's land. So Rudick went all the way up to second on that last play. Had enough time to charge into scoring position after the ball dribbled into the grass in shallow right field. Next up, Chad Stevens, a third baseman who bats from the right side out of Portland University. 5-1 Cotuit in the 7th. Man on second with 1 out, and Schmidt misses low with a base fastball. 1 ball and no strikes on Stevens. He's 0 for 2 today. Has struck out in both plate appearances. 1 looking in the 2nd and 1 swinging in the 5th. Kessler comes out to the mound to talk with his right-handed pitcher out of San Diego State. Wants to calm things down a little bit. Wareham's top offense has been bottled up so far today. 2nd in the league in runs scored only to Cotuit. 1st in the league in batting average. Kessler went out for another little mini mound visit after thinking about going back to home plate, but he got one last word in. And now Sparky Burns says, all right, let's play ball. Rudick on second after a 1-out error. Stevens the batter, 1 ball and no strikes. 5-1 Kettleers in the 7th inning. Rudick hops off. Gonzalez leans in, now goes back. 1-0 fastball on the inside corner. A ball and a strike on Chad Stevens. Just going back to the Cotuit 2019 season, this year's team might have an identical record or maybe even a worse record to last season's squad that went 22-18-4. Schmidt's 1-1. Breaking ball, zipped off foul on the right side, 1-2 on Stevens. This year's team just has a little more bite to them, a lot more power. They lead the league in a lot of offensive categories, including home runs and runs scored and slugging percentage. Last year's team was in the bottom third of the league offensively for some portions of the year and got swept in the first round against these Wareham Gatemen that ended up winning their 7th Cape League championship over Chatham. 1-2. Cut and a miss on a fastball, and Casey Schmidt picks up a strikeout. His first of the game, and that's a huge out, number 2 here in the 7th.
We talked about it earlier, Coach Roberts saying that this is the most powerful lineup and roster he's ever coached. That also going back to UNC and all of the Cape League teams that he's coached. That's high praise for this ball club, and it's no surprise that they lead the entire Cape League in home runs.
Here's Mike Antico, the number 9 batting left fielder from the left side. He's 0 for 2. Man on second with 2 outs. First pitch lifted in the air, foul behind home plate. Kettleers lead 5-1. Top of the 7th inning. And Casey Schmidt 1 out away from making it 2 1/3 innings out of the pen. Only man to reach on him, Rudick, who's on second base, who reached on an error back with 1 out in this inning. Has not allowed a hit or a walk so far. Schmidt wants to run through the signs again. This Kettleers team has a lot of characters, and Schmidt's one of them. Always a jokester, always having fun. A two-way Cali kid from the San Diego area. And then there's an MVP candidate in Nick Gonzalez, who ranges out in second base. Just a couple on a roster peppered with a lot of talent. 0-1 breaking ball just on the outside corner. That's strike 2 on Antico.
Good job by Casey there to use that big zone he's been getting from Sparky Burns. Getting a couple inches off the plate away, and a good pitcher can always exploit that. We'll see what he goes to now, ahead 0-2.
Schmidt got Sems on a ground out to first. Rudick went up to second on an error at first. Stevens struck out. Man on second with 2 away. 2-strike pitch. Hard fastball up at the shoulders, 92 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Arajanu's 3-run bomb extended the Kettleers' lead to 5-0 in the 4th. Wareham tagged on a run in the 5th thanks to Braden Ward's RBI single. The Gatemen looking for a little more here in the 7th. Oviedo shades Rudick at second. Schmidt set, looks back to the plate, back to second, and the 1-2 fouled back right over the press box. Mike Antico stays alive. Sparky Burns says play ball. 5-1 Kettleers in the 7th. Man on second with 2 down. Schmidt's 1-2. Splitter flied over to left field. Martin comes in by a couple of steps. That's out number 3. Casey Schmidt with 2 1/3 innings out of the bullpen. He wraps things up in the visiting half of the 7th, stranding a man in scoring position. No runs on no hits, 1 error and 1 man left for Wareham, and it's stretch time at Lowell Park. Kettleers lead it 5-1 on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. again. Bottom of the 7th inning. New pitcher on. It's a right-hander, Quinn Cleary from Yale University. He's set to make his Cape League 2019 debut. Local kid from just outside of Boston, a native of Newton, Mass. 5'9", 185 pounds. And he's a little sidearm slinger that comes in to face the top of the Kettleer order. It's 1, 2, and 3 due up. Matt Mervis will get a crack at it. Remember, he came in as a defensive sub at the end of the 5th inning to replace Casey Schmidt, who went to the mound, and he's now the DH in the Kettleer order. So therefore, he's now batting for Arajanu, who wraps up his day 2 for 3 with a 3-run home run and a couple of runs scored. And his 3-run home run currently providing the gap for Cotuit, who's up 5-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning. It's Mervis, Gonzalez, and then Loperfido. Cleary, the little right-hander, making his first start of the entire year. He wears number 20. Wareham's gotten 2 solid innings out of their bullpen after Lucas Weinberg started the game, allowing 5 runs on 7 hits and 4 innings of work. Cleary's first Cape League pitch in the other batter's box, 1-0 on Mervis. 2 scoreless innings, retiring the side in order from Joey Barron and Christopher Maloney. They struck out a combined 5 of the last 6 batters. Mervis will try and change that. He takes an off-speed pitch on the inside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 run on 2 hits and 1 error for Wareham. 5 runs on 7 hits and 3 errors for the Kettleers. 1-0 slung outside, 71 miles an hour on some junk. 2-1. Cotuit trying to leapfrog over Wareham for second in the West Division with a win this afternoon. Defense straight up on the left-handed bat, Mervis, who takes again at the shins, 3-1. Little modern rivalry between these two sides. Cotuit and Wareham went back and forth last season. The Gatemen ended up winning the West Division Championship, won it in the postseason, and won the Cape League Championship, a clean sweep, winning all 6 of their postseason games. 3-1. Fastball just on the inside corner. Full count now on Mervis. Rivalry got a little spicier. Don Sneddon, who was just with Wareham for his 3rd year last year, winning the 2018 title, gave way to Jerry Weinstein, Cotuit's bench coach and pitching coach last summer. Full count walk. Mervis takes the pitch low and outside, and he's aboard for Cotuit to start off the 7th. Coach Roberts added a longtime friend and coaching colleague in Weinstein last summer. And Jerry did a lot of work with the Kettleers pitchers and catchers and really built a pitching staff from rags to riches. Saw great development in pitchers like Griffin McLarty, who pitched valiantly in the first game of the postseason, going 6 strong innings. Even Ryan Leffner, who came on in a big jam in the 7th inning. Guys like that from the College of Charleston and St. Louis University, respectively, paved the way for a Kettleer pitching staff that had a 4+ ERA. And Weinstein was a big part of that. He managed Wareham in 2016, was the bench coach for the Kettleers in 2018, and now is back at the head honcho spot across the canal here in 2019. 5-1 Kettleers in the 7th. 1 man on in Mervis after the leadoff walk. No balls and 2 strikes on Nick Gonzalez. Gonzalez 2 for 3. A single in the first, a double, and a run scored in the 3rd. And reach at first base back in the 4th on an error by the catcher. 0-2 fastball, ripped on the ground to McLean. Over to Sems for 1, relay to first, got him for 2. 6-4-3, a nice double play up the middle for Wareham. And that retires both base runners for a quick 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th.
And Cleary's a guy that didn't even throw much in the spring for Yale, just threw 8 2/3 innings. So a fresh arm at least, but a guy that's more of a local kid getting an opportunity.
From the western suburbs of Boston. Now he's up against a Haddonfield, New Jersey native and Joey Loperfido, left-handed batter out of Duke. Sidearm first pitch, knocked out a play foul on the left side. 0-1 on Loperfido. He's reached twice in 3 plate appearances. An RBI single back in the 3rd, and a fly out to left field in the 4th. Two outs, base is empty. 5-1 Cotuit. 0-1. Line shot, backhand pick by McLean at short. He throws the first.
Nice.
What a play. Nice play indeed. He took that thing on a short hop and got it over to first to Teeter to retire the side. It's a 1-2-3 inning for the debut man in Quinn Cleary from Yale. He retires all three batters that he faces. No runs on no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. And we played 7. 8th inning coming up. 5-1 Kettleers. Arms got the play-by-play to bring you home after this on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Eighth inning here. Casey Schmidt still on the mound. He gets the top of the order for the Gatemen, who are chasing 4 runs. It'll be Braden Ward, the leadoff hitter, then Matt McLean and Jacob Teeter. Ward's 1 for 2. He singled in his last at-bat, walked in his first at-bat, reached on an error in the third, and stole his league-leading 23rd bag of the season. First pitch. Changeup swung through at 0-1. Mervis, the third baseman, playing in on the grass about 2 steps inside of the grass. Rest of the infield plays straight up. The speedster bats from the left side. His 1 hit today put him over the 300 mark on the season. The 0-1. Inside corner, 0-2, 90 on the gun there from Schmidt. Schmidt's worked 2 1/3 scoreless in relief of Reed Johnston, who started this ball game. He finished 4 2/3. Only gave up 1 earned run on 3 hits, struck out 4. Schmidt ahead 0-2 on Ward, the pitch. Curveball blocked by Kessler. Looked like it stung him a little bit. He's going to take a second to get his composure. Looked like it got him on the inner thigh there. He says he's okay. He tells Sparky Burns, the home plate umpire, he doesn't need any more time. He's ready for the 1-2 pitch now. Ward steps back in the box. Schmidt working exclusively out of the stretch. Comes set right at the chest, ready to deal the 1-2. Ground ball over to Gonzalez. He flips it on to first base, out number 1. So 4-3 to retire the leadoff hitter in Braden Ward. And now it's Matt McLean, the shortstop from UCLA. He's 0 for 3. He reached base in the first on a fielder's choice. The All-Star McLean slid over from third base to shortstop after the second baseman, Darren Baker, went home. Baker was hitting .346, but decided to head home after the All-Star game. First pitch fastball, a strike on the outer half. So Benjamin Sims, who was the shortstop all year long, slid over to second base. McLean now plays short the rest of the way, and Chad Stevens has been starting the ball games at the hot corner. The 0-1. Misses away, 1-1. Jacob Teeter waits on deck. That's one guy that has not moved. He's anchored the first base spot all year long and anchored the 3-hole in the lineup just about all year long. The sophomore from UCLA awaits the 1-1. Fastball misses up at the chest, 2-1. McLean struggled as a freshman at UCLA, hitting just .200. starting most of his games over at second base. He turned down almost $3 million from the Arizona Diamondbacks after being selected in the first round out of high school. The 2-1. That's a strike at the knees, 2-2. He wanted to fulfill his dream of playing for the UCLA Bruins. His mother played volleyball there. He's had a great summer here at the Cape, and he'll be looking to keep that momentum rolling into his sophomore season over in the Pac-12. The 2-2. Chopper over to Casey Schmidt. He leaps on the mound, makes the grab, throws it over to first base. And out number 2, Schmidt shows his athleticism on the mound. Sliding over from third base, now pitching. And he's retired both batters he's faced in the 8th inning. So now it's Jacob Teeter, the 3-hitter and first baseman. Teeter's 1 for 3. He singled back in the first. The all-star first baseman bats from the left side, 6'6". He stands tall up there, but not your typical power-hitting first baseman. He's been a tough guy to strike out, does a good job of making contact consistently for such a big guy. And Teeter's only struck out 19 times against 12 walks. A good contact swing for a big hitter there from the left side. The first pitch misses inside, gets to the backstop, 1-0. Schmidt with a little bit of a hesitation there at the peak of his leg kick. We'll see him do that from time to time to throw off the timing of these hitters. Something he likes to do. Sometimes he'll kick the leg up and down a little bit, as many as three times. Sometimes he'll be a slide step to home plate. That time he's quick to home. It's fouled back from Teeter. He always works out of the stretch. The only difference is how long that leg hangs up in the air. Something he can get away with a little more when there's nobody on base. Of course, you don't want to bring that leg up and down 3 times when Braden Ward's trying to steal second base. That's a curveball at the letters. Strike 2, 1-2. On deck is Adrian Del Castillo. He's 0 for 3. The catcher from Miami in the DH spot today. Dallas Beaver manning the duties behind the dish for the Gatemen. Schmidt 1 strike away from ending the top of the 8th here. The leg stutter, the pitch. It's yanked foul. Count remains 1-2. Schmidt has been great so far today. He's worked 3 scoreless and struck out a pair in relief of Reed Johnston, who went 4 2/3 of his own, only surrendering 1 run. Schmidt 1 strike away here. 1-2. The pitch to Teeter. A fastball high. He checked his swing, but just laid off it. 92 on the gun there from Schmidt, trying to get Teeter to chase the high cheese. Teeter doesn't bite now, and it's 2-2. Infield plays straight up. Nick Gonzalez just a step or 2 deep at second base. His heels are on the grass in right field. Another fastball misses up. Schmidt still dialing it up, 94 miles per hour, but not able to find the zone on either of those 2 fastballs. And now it's 3-2 with 2 outs here. Nobody on. The 3-hitter Jacob Teeter trying to extend this 8th inning. They're chasing 4 runs. Kettleers trying to take sole possession of second place in the West Division. A win today would put them 1 point over the Gatemen. Schmidt comes set, the payoff pitch. Ground ball to Nick Gonzalez. He scoops it up. An easy throw over to first, and out number 3, Casey Schmidt continues to cruise. And the Kettleers will go into the home half of the 8th and try and add some insurance. They only need 3 more outs after this one to seal this ball game down. It's 5-1 here at Lowell Park. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Of the 8th. Last chance for the Kettleers to add some insurance. They're up 4 runs already, 5-1 in favor of the Kettleers. And yet another pitching change for the Wareham Gatemen. This time it's Ben Leeper, the 5th pitcher of the ball game, a senior from Oklahoma State in Southlake, Texas. He's making his 9th appearance of the summer. A 3.37 ERA. He's picked up 2 saves. In 8 innings, he struck out 8, walked 8, and given up 8 hits.
Yeah, he's been really good for this Wareham team. He has a 3.37 ERA, which is middle of the road, but he's been a guy that Jerry Weinstein has relied on in a lot of key situations, and he was in a big spot against YD back on Tuesday in the Connecticut game, got a strikeout in that situation. A matchup kind of pitcher, 8 innings, that kind of tells you the story, but he's somebody they'll need down the postseason stretch.
Has not given up a run in his last 3 outings, trying to make it 4 here. At the bottom of the 8th against the Kettleers, it's Casey Schmidt. Swings at the first pitch, yanks it foul down the third base line. See if Schmidt goes back on the mound to close this thing out. In the bottom of the 9th, or top of the 9th rather.
Well, let's see if he can get his on-base streak up to 17 games. It's hanging in the balance right now. He has the RBI sack flying the first, but he hasn't reached.
A 1, there it is. That's 17 straight games. Reaching base, a single into center field by Casey Schmidt. He does it in his last at-bat, keeps the streak going. You called it, Sam.
Yeah, I guess we got the positive jinx there. Thank goodness. Wanted him to keep that up. He's got a chance. I want to say, let's see here. We got 6 games to go after this. Well, you look at the calendar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with a doubleheader. Yeah, 6 games. So the most he could get in the regular season is 23, which would be 1 shy of Nick Gonzalez's 24 to begin this season, and 2 shy of Duke Ellis, who had a 25-game on-base streak last season.
McCorder takes a big hack at the first pitch, fouls it away. So it's 0-1, the runner on first base, Casey Schmidt. He's singled. He's also worked 3 1/3 scoreless out of the pen. McCorder squares to bunt now, early showing. The 0-1, he pulls it back, a back pick over to first, but Schmidt's into first base ahead of the throw. It's a called ball that McCorder lays off of. He showed bunt early. We'll see if he shows it again here. 1-1. The third baseman, Stevens, plays about a half a step behind the grass, now creeping in. He squares again, pulls back. It's a called strike on the outside corner. So Coach Roberts not content with the 4-run lead. He wants to try and squeeze out some more. Bottom of the 8th here, it's 5-1 in favor of the Kettleers. 5 runs on 8 hits. Just 1 run on 2 hits for the Gatemen. The 1-2. And that's strike 3 on the outside corner or around that area. McCorder doesn't like it, and I can't blame him. It was a backdoor curveball that the catcher Beaver actually reached to his left to snag. He was already set up just about on the outer half, so that tells you just about all you need to hear as for that pitch location. But Sparky Burns rings him up, and now there's 1 away. Robbie Martin now the batter. Swings at the first pitch, fouls off a 92-mile-per-hour fastball. We've seen some big zones as the season's gone on, Sam. I don't know if that's something that we didn't notice as much earlier or if it's glaring now that the games matter more, but it's been something that has been impossible to look the other way.
Yeah, I got the Kettleers pretty badly on Wednesday at Brewster. That strikeout with the bases loaded for Kessler comes to mind.
Another foul ball into the parking lot by Martin, and it's 0-2. That was a bases loaded 2-outs opportunity. A 3-2 pitch that was just, or a 2-2 pitch rather, that was just about above the letters, almost encroaching on the neck and inside. He was rung up there on that one, was Kessler, and Coach Roberts was livid. You can't blame him. He talked about that a little bit a couple games ago in the pregame interview. The 0-2 to Martin is popped up and tailing out of play. Will do nothing in 2 again. It sounds like that one got a car, as you could probably hear by the reaction from the fans.
Middle row car, let's see. They're looking underneath what looks to be like an SUV. Maybe a Mercedes right there? I don't know. You can't tell.
And a swing and a miss. That's strike 3 to Robbie Martin, who goes down and falls to 1 for 4 on the game.
I think it was actually a Toyota that got hit.
You park at your own risk here at Lowell Park. The best parking spots also come with the most risk. You're closer to the field of play. Everyone fights over those spots closer, otherwise you have to start parking down the road. But it's just about every game a car is getting hit, and you know what you're dealing with when you come to the park here. I personally don't like to park within 100 yards of
You're out of the splash
the field of
zone
play
then,
here.
yeah.
So now it's Colton Kessler, who's 0 for 3. He struck out looking on another borderline Sparky Burns ring-up. The first pitch to Kessler misses away, 1-0. Kessler, the left-handed hitting catcher from Kentucky, part of a platoon between him and Cody Pasek. Pasek, the all-star. Kessler was expected to be the starter most of the season. It seems like Pasek has taken over those duties, but he lifts one out into left center field, going back as Ward to the wall. He slides in front of the wall, but it gets past him. That'll score Schmidt, who jogs in around third and coasts in, and Colton Kessler picks up a big double there to add to the Kettleers' lead and break out of a little slump.
That's a big hit for Kess right there, and one of his best of the year, an opposite field drive for an RBI double. Much needed for the Kettleers. They had been quiet offensively ever since the Anu 3-run home run in the fourth. They finally get to this Wareham bullpen and get to a good one in Ben Leeper. A good job by Kessler.
So now it's Adam Oviedo. He's got an opportunity to try to expand this Kettleers lead that's already at 5. 6-1 now, thanks to the Colton Kessler deep double out into left center field, right around the same spot he hit his only home run of the year, just to the left of the scoreboard in left center. First pitch misses low. 1-0 to Ovi, who's 1 for 3. He scored back in the fourth inning on an Arajanu 3-run shot. Kessler on second base, 2 outs. The 1-0 to Ovi. Swing and a miss. Blew a 92-mile-per-hour fastball by him. 1-1. Dante Williams waits on deck. Wareham's used 5 pitchers today. The Kettleers have only used 2 so far. We'll see if Casey Schmidt comes back out for the 9th inning. The pitch. Swing and a miss again. 1-2. Doesn't look like there's much action over in the Kettleer bullpen. Not sure if someone already warmed up and is ready to go, or if Coach Roberts is going to go all the way with Schmidt. We've seen him stretch Schmidt out on several occasions this year. A 1-2 on Oviedo. The pitch. Fastball strike, got him looking. That's out number 3. Ovi didn't like it. Seems like many of the Kettleers have not been thrilled with Sparky Burns' strike zone today, but that ends the 8th inning. We'll go into the 9th. The Kettleers add 1 more, and the Kettleers are 3 outs away from picking up win number 18 on the season. We'll see if Casey Schmidt comes back out to nail it down. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Schmidt back out here for the 9th inning. He's already got 3 1/3 under his belt. Scoreless so far. He has not given up a run in his 3 1/3 of work. So Schmidt will try and nail down the win for the Kettleers. He's got a 5-run cushion, and he faces the middle of the Wareham order. It's Adrian Del Castillo who takes a hack at a curveball. 0-1. Del Castillo, the catcher from Miami, who's DHing today, is 0 for 3. Casey Schmidt comes set right at the chest, kicks and deals. Fouled away, it's 0-2. Del Castillo from the University of Miami also attended Gulliver Prep, which is located just about 15 minutes away from the university. Was a 36th round pick out of high school by the Padres. The 0-2. Backdoor curveball got him. And quick work of Del Castillo. One away here in the 9th inning.
Casey Schmidt has been dominant today. Dominant. He's only allowed one base runner, and that base runner reached on an error back in the 7th inning.
Schmidt has been dialed in on both sides, both on the mound and at the plate. Extends his on-base streak to 17 in the last inning. As he gets Dallas Beaver to swing through a changeup.
I'm telling you right now, if the Kettleers get to a postseason championship series, whether that's the Western Division title series or the Cape League championship for all the marbles, this guy is going to be on for the last 3 outs.
That one's lifted out into deep right field. Loperfido going back towards the wall. He's got some room, and he makes the grab for out number 2. Beaver gives it a ride, but that's out number 2, and there's one more to nail down this win. Last chance for Wareham is Benjamin Sims. Sims bats from the left side. The Kansas Jayhawk played second base today. Every other ball game the Kettleers have seen Sims, he's been playing shortstop. The left-handed hitting shortstop, now second baseman today, was an all-star for the Gatemen. Swings at the first pitch, flares it into foul territory, but nobody can get there in time. Not enough hang time. 0-1. Six to 1 in favor of the Kettleers here. They've only surrendered 2 hits and 1 run. Kettleers have 6 runs on 9 hits. Schmidt ahead 0-1 on Benjamin Sims. The pitch, that's popped up again. Foul out of play, 1 strike away here. So Casey Schmidt and the Kettleers 1 strike away from nailing down the win. A big win over the Gatemen that would solidify the number 2 spot in the West Division. The Kettleer faithful clapping on, cheering on the final out. 94-mile-per-hour fastball misses up and out. A big crowd here at Lowell Park. One of the final home games of the season on a red shirt Friday against the rival Gatemen. It's also Youth Day. We'll have some festivities after this. It'll be just that much more enjoyable if Casey Schmidt can nail down this victory for the Kettleers. The 1-2 misses high, 2-2. The sun is set here at Lowell Park. Still enough daylight to play ball. Only 1 more strike to end this ball game, but no more sun shining on the field. Shadows across the entire field of play here. Cam Hill, by the way, the new outfielder in left field. He replaced Robbie Martin. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Casey Schmidt locks down win number 18 for the Kettleers. And that's the ball game. How about Casey Schmidt? 3 2/3 innings out of the bullpen and nails down the win. The Kettleers move up to second place in the West Division. And they take this one 6-1 over the Gatemen.
What a win for Cotuit today. A perfect win. Happy days are here again, and just a great job on all sides and all cylinders for the Kettleers to get back in the win column emphatically against Wareham.
Big win for the Kettleers. Casey Schmidt extends his scoreless streak. He has not given up an earned run in over 13 innings, and he extends his on-base streak to 17. He is hot in every facet of the game. Got to feel good for Casey Schmidt. Arajanu with a big home run. We'll wrap up the entire ball game on the other side of this break. Kettleers win 6-1 here at Lowell Park on a Red Shirt Friday, a youth day here at Lowell Park. We'll wrap it up on the other side of this break. Just like that, the Kettleers are in second place in the West Division. They climb into second place just behind the Falmouth Commodores for now. We're waiting on that game to be final, but they are within 3 points of first place Falmouth. Got a doubleheader to end the season against the Commodores, but the Commodores do have 3 games in hand, so they are going to be tough to catch, but a really big win in terms of seeding to try and lock down this number 2 spot. A big win over the rival Gatemen, a 6-1 final, and we'll go over it right now with you. It was a start by Reed Johnston. He was strong, going 4.2 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, walked 1, struck out 4. He was really good, Sam. But Casey Schmidt out of the bullpen. The Kettleers only used 2 pitchers today. The Gatemen used 5, but Casey Schmidt was the big reason why. 4 1/3 innings, no hit ball. He does not walk anybody and strikes out 3.
Oh my gosh, Casey Schmidt was at his best today. The fastball had a lot of life. He was running up at 94. He worked 4 1/3 scoreless innings, as you mentioned, Aram, and he faced 1 over the minimum. He retired 13 of 14 batters faced, and the only guy that got on was with an error back in the 7th inning. Wareham just could not touch him. He kept the Kettleers in check and made it a 5-1 lead for most of it, and the Cotuit Kettleers were able to get another one back late. Just a really good showing for the pitching today. I also got to tip my cap to Johnston, who was able to recover mentally. First inning was a little shaky. He walked the leadoff man and stranded runners on the corners in the first inning. But after that, he was dynamite too, and Schmitty picked him up out of the pen. Just a really solid day on the mound.
Decisions are typically not that important here in the Cape, of course, because most pitchers are pulled around the 4th inning. Johnston would have picked up the win if he went 1 more third of an inning, so you get the elusive Casey Schmidt gets the win and he gets the save. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but that's what happens here in the Cape League. But Schmidt was dazzling. He deserves both of them. As for the offense, Arajanu in the leadoff spot today, he did what was asked of him. We talked about it with Coach Roberts before the ball game about the decision to put Anu in the leadoff spot, and he said, I'm tired of all of these players kind of leaning a little bit on Nick Gonzalez. I want to see something new. I want to see something fresh. And he had a talk with his team today. He said it was really about being inspired, playing inspired. They played inspired today, and Arajanu in the leadoff spot was fantastic. 2 for 3. He picked up the 3-run shot, and he was exactly what Coach Roberts was wanting out of his offense in terms of playing with some fire.
He answered the bell, Arm, and he was aggressive. That was such a huge thing. He was aggressive. A single on the first pitch that he saw in the bottom of the first. That run came and scored on the Schmitty sac fly. And then the 3-run home run in the fourth. That was huge because Wareham got one in the fifth, and who knows? It could be a 2-1 game through the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Wareham's bullpen was really respectable in those 3 innings, but that was a big-time home run from Anu. Great to see him swinging with confidence, hitting early in the counts, finding fastballs, which is a huge key for him, and he drove it in those 2 hits that he got in the 3 at-bats. A really nice coaching decision by Coach Roberts to put him up at the top today.
And that 0 for 22 stretch for Anu seems like it's way back in the rearview mirror. He's now 7 for his last 15 with a couple of home runs, the 3-run shot today. But how about Nick Gonzalez? He was in a little bit of a slump of his own, 0 for 13, if you even can call that a slump. I guess by Nick's standards it is. But he picks up 2 hits today, including a double, and he scores a run. Casey Schmidt extends his hit streak, or on-base streak rather, to 17. Adam Oviedo picks up another hit, and the offense was finally consistent for the Kettleers from top to bottom, a team that in the middle of yesterday's game before they scored in the 8th had gone 23 consecutive innings without scoring a run.
Yeah, they needed this kind of output today at the plate, and they got it. When you have Gonzalez producing, this team is a threat, and they really pick themselves up everywhere else. Nick Gonzalez basically makes everybody better because he gets on base so much and gives everybody an opportunity to drive him in. And he did that today, reaching in 3 of 4 plate appearances. Contributions from Joey Loperfido and Casey Schmidt both picked up an RBI. Even the bottom of the order, Adam Oviedo, a single with a run scored. Dante Williams reached once in 3 tries and scored on that appearance as well. When they get this order balanced and when everybody finds a way to get on, and they did it against some good Wareham pitching. You know, Lucas Weinberg's was nothing stellar today, but they were able to get to him and beat a pitcher that they should have beaten. And that's a big thing because what have the Kettleers done so far to pick up 18 wins? They've beaten teams and they've beaten pitchers that they should be beating.
And they pick up the win against Weinberg. Like you said, Weinberg picks up the loss. He went 4 innings, gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 K in his second start. And then it was just a committee the rest of the way, 4 relievers, each going 1 inning for Jerry Weinstein and his ball club. Kettleers win this one 6-1 on a Red Shirt Friday, a youth day. So when we get out of the booth here, going to be enjoying youth day with some kids. We got some s'mores going on behind us in the press box. We've got hot dogs going on out there. We've got lights ready to keep this thing rolling. I think it's supposed to go till 9:30, 9:45, and Coach Roberts is getting his team to clap over there and celebrate the win, and they're going to celebrate it with a bunch of kids. Sam, this is your second youth day here, and it's a really exciting one to have here. It was actually moved because of the weather, so we're going to enjoy this day, bring in the win. A really nice crowd today, and it was a really fun one for the Kettleers to now secure second place in the West Division, and they will go to Chatham tomorrow. We will have the broadcast on Mixler. The link will be tweeted out as always at the same spot. 7 o'clock first pitch. We'll be live at 6:45 with an interview with Coach Roberts. And then after that, we're back at home against YD, as you mentioned during the broadcast, Sam, a team we feel like we haven't seen in about 10 years.
Haven't seen them in forever, yeah.
5 o'clock first pitch, and then we're back at Wareham on Monday the 29th. That'll be a 6:45 first pitch, and that'll be back on Mixler. So tomorrow at Chatham on Mixler, the next day, Sunday, YD, that'll be on YouTube and Mixler, and then, of course, back to Wareham on the 29th. So the Kettleers pick up the win 6-1. They turn things around, and they're now in second place in the West Division. Sam, any final thoughts on this ball game?
You know, tomorrow's going to be a big game. It's going to be a really big game for the Kettleers. They got to make sure that they come out and bring their A game. Have not looked at the probables yet, but Chatham is a really solid pitching staff. That's a tough trip to make, a tough place to play, and the Kettleers were formidable the last time they went to Chatham at the end of June, and they lost 4-2 in that game. But just a tough challenge, and a challenge that the Kettleers should invite. You know, you get this win at home against Wareham, a game they should have won, despite Wareham being so even in the record. But tomorrow is one where you're really going to kind of see if this team has turned the corner, and I think that it's going to be a big test. So it'll be a really fun one from Vets Field.
Kettleers improved to 18-16-4. The Gatemen fall to 19-17-1. We'll have you live from Chatham tomorrow on Mixler. Thanks for spending your Friday evening with us. For Sam Niederman, I'm Aram Layton. We'll talk to you tomorrow.